Good afternoon, I'm Bali Lamini. South Africa has recorded a decrease of 8.7% between October and December of 2025. This has been revealed by Acting Police Minister Feroz Kachalia, who released the quarterly crime statistics this afternoon. Kachalia says violent crime categories have shown a consistent decline since 2023. These include murder, rape, robbery, and most property-related crimes like theft and burglary. Over the past 2 years, the overall violent crime rate has decreased by 8.3%. Kachalia says although these categories continue to decrease, they remain at unacceptably high levels.
During this quarter, total violent crime decreased again by 6.7% or 12,682 fewer cases reported to the South African Police Service when compared with the same quarter last year. Over the last 2 years, total violent crime for this quarter is down by 8.3%.
A complex rescue operation to bring back to the surface 5 trapped miners at Ekurhuleni mine in Kimberley is expected to run longer as experts run into some trouble underground. A technical team is in a race against time to save the mine workers who have been trapped since Tuesday following a mudslide nearly a kilometre underground. Mineral Resources Minister Mantashe visited the plant today to meet with mine management and the senior team behind the rescue operation. Nogukanya Mdambo reports.
During his oversight visit to the Ekurhuleni mine in the Northern Cape, Mineral and Petroleum Resources Minister Mantashe told journalists that the rising water levels underground continue to complicate the operation. He says the Council for Geoscience has been roped in to provide geological expertise to help identify the source of the water influx and recommendations on how to address the issue at its origin.
That is where the biggest problem is. And the second one is drilling that is being done is quite far from where the bodies are.
While cautious on his prognosis, Mantashe says it doesn't look good.
If you are away from 17 to today in a mud rush, as a mine worker I can tell you that I would easily do what I call presumption of death and assume that they are dead.
He says any mine accident that takes more than 4 lives can be labelled as a disaster. Nogukanya Mdambo, Eyewitness News.
Suspended Deputy National Police Commissioner Shadrack Sibiya has been accused of prematurely acting in implementing the action plan to disband the political killings task team. Testifying at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry, Sibiya has consistently defended his actions by claiming he was acting on Police Minister Senzo Mchunu directive. But the commissioners believe he acted out of turn and took his own decision to issue an instruction for the immediate disbandment of the PKTT, which should have rather come from National Police Commissioner Fani Masemola. Oren Singh reports.
Shadrack Sibiya believes that by signing off on a plan to immediately disband the PKTT, he was working towards the common goal of disbanding the task team as directed by Police Minister Senzo Mchunu.
Whatever that I implemented, it was just based on a common understanding that we are acting on this directive by the minister. At that point in time, no one ever expected that this could lead to this mountainous problem that we are now dealing with.
But Co-Commissioner Advocate Sesi Baloyi claims there was never an instruction for Sibiya to implement the action plan to immediately disband the task team.
If that instruction was ever given by the National Commissioner, it's contained somewhere else. And you are free to refer us to that. But we can't keep doing this where you are insisting.
Oren Singh, Eyewitness News.
The ANC insists there is no crisis in the city of Ekurhuleni despite some recent political instability. The EFF recently pulled out of the governing coalition, leaving the ANC leading a minority government. Action SA also refused the ANC's offer to join the coalition. On the other hand, the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry continues to expose the deep rot of corruption within the city's highest governance structures. The ANC, which is the largest party in the city, recently held a regional executive committee meeting to consider some of the political governance issues in Ekurhuleni. ANC Regional Secretary and Finance MMC Jongizizwe Dlabati.
We wish to assure the residents of Ekurhuleni that there is no crisis in the city of Ekurhuleni. There is no crisis in the leadership of the executive mayor and his team. And if there is anything, it is that of stabilizing the city and the city's administration. As we speak, the city is functioning.
And in the U.S., the estate of late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein has agreed to pay up to $35 million to settle the outstanding legal claims. More than a dozen victims say they were sexually assaulted, abused or trafficked by the late financier between January 1995 and August 2019. The settlement comes after the release by the U.S. Justice Department of millions of documents, photographs and videos related to the investigation into Epstein. The judgment states that the agreement does not mean the co-executors admit fault or are liable to further legal action from victims. Epstein died in a New York jail cell in August of 2019. His death was ruled a suicide. Gold is trading at $5,035.44 an ounce. The rand is at 16.07 to the dollar, 21.68 to the pound, 18.96 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $71.66 a barrel.
Well, at this hour, if you're leaving the Pretoria CBD, there's slow-moving traffic in Hermanstad on Eskiam Patlelem between Van der Hof and the R80. Also in Equestria, still in Tshwane, there's bumper-to-bumper traffic on Solomon Mahlangu between Linwood Road and the N4.
It's a partly cloudy afternoon in Gauteng today with isolated showers expected. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 27 and 30 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour, South Africa has recorded a decrease of 8.7% in murder cases between October and December of 2025.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
Get your brain in the game and win big on the Brain of 702. Enter now on primemediaplus.com. T's and C's apply.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app, DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
.702 Drive with John Perlman is proudly brought to you by Telkom Business. Possible begins here. Good afternoon, everyone. It's 9 minutes past 3 on Friday, the 20th of February. This is 702 Drive with me, John Perlman. Wherever you are listening to us in 702 land, welcome to the show. Crime stats for the last 3 months of 2025 are currently being released and discussed. We'll bring you details and analysis sometime after 4 o'clock. In other stories, as Joburgers remain fearful of water cuts and in many cases without water at all, the good news is that Rand Water will going forward be allowed to draw more water from the Vaal River. But what practical difference will that make? Because we've often heard the issue isn't a shortage of water. The problem is an inability to actually move the water from A to B and an inability to look after the water infrastructure that we have. We'll tease through all those questions and answers after 5. Joined once again by the National DG of Water and Sanitation, Sean Phillips. You may recall yesterday, if you missed the interview, by the way, please pick it up on our website, primemediaplus.com. I'll give you the link to our conversation with family spokesperson Thulani Mahlangu. He was talking about the 4 men who have finally returned home after being tricked and trafficked to serve on the Ukrainian front line with the Russian army. A terrible story indeed. Glad 4 people are back. There's still many more that need to return. But in the course of exploring all of this, we came across some details of how a similar scandal has been playing out in the country of Kenya. It's actually been an issue debated in the Kenyan parliament this week, and we'll focus on that with a correspondent in Nairobi at 25 past 3. And in our weekly feature, A Song, a Book and a Dish, we'll talk to someone I must admit who I've admired for a long time. Laura Wolfhard is captain of the Proteas women's team. She is a global cricketing superstar. We interviewed her high school coach, and on top of doing all those things, she was head girl at her school. She's a proficient musician and singer and got 7 distinctions in matric, all the while playing in her first World Cup at the age of 17. So I'm delighted. She's going to join us at 20 to 6. I've got lots of questions to ask her. It's going to be really fun. Now, on the markets, a good end to the week is taking shape. The all share is up. The gold price is over $5,000. The platinum price is higher. Oil is down. The rand is up from yesterday at least. So what's not to like? Well, some details. The all share has gained 490 points so far today, driven upwards by a strong day for the resources index. DRD Gold has picked up 5.5%. Pan-African Resources up by 3.6%, away from minerals, but also amongst the gainers. Dis-Chem has grown by 3.5% today. Not so good for SPAR today, down 5.5% on a day when CEO Angelo Swartz has resigned. The rand is doing better than it was yesterday, trading at 16.10 against the dollar. That's a gain of 9 cents over the past 24 hours. A euro will cost you 18 Rand 94, a 12-cent improvement, and 21 Rand 77 will get you a pound. The rand currently 8 cents better against sterling. Oil is still expensive, but at least the price of Brent crude has dropped a little bit today, down by 56 cents and currently trading at $71.32. Still way too high. Oh, for the days in the first couple of weeks of January when oil was going for around $60 a barrel. Anyway, I guess it comes and goes. Stephen Critters joins us with all the market news at 4:25. We'll get sport with Tolakele Mganga. Mbali Dlamini joins us with the latest news headlines. You heard her a moment ago. She's back at 3:30. Karabo Chale is with us right now, right here in the studio, keeping an eye on the roads. This is 702 Drive. We're live in the place where you live, and if it's happening in 702 land, we'll bring you the news as soon as we get it. If there's something we don't know about or something we think we know about it, but we might have got it wrong, please get in touch. 072 702 1702 or give us a ring. We can chat on 011 883 0702. 702 Drive, it's 3:13.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
So lots to talk about, lots of questions that need asking and plenty to think about, including some of those thoughts that just pop into your head. Sometimes in this part of the show, we do pick up on an issue that's very topical and that people need to share their views on. Earlier in the week, for example, we talked in a very serious vein about unemployment and the psychological, social and personal impact of being without work and being jobless for a long time. Today's thought, though, perhaps really does fit the definition of random. For some reason that I have no idea why, this morning I woke up thinking about the first time I got dropped from my school soccer team. Probably wasn't the first time because there were many, but I was either under 11 or under 12. And the coach, who was the father of one of the boys, in breaking this news to me, said, "We've decided that we need to strengthen the B team." We need to strengthen the B team. And in order to strengthen the B team, which needs obviously my extraordinary prowess, I think I played right wing at the time, I was going to be that guy. Now, even at the tender age of whether it was 10, 11, possibly 12, but I think 10 or 11, I was very, very clear that I was being snowed here, that the B team did not need strengthening. However, the A team did need strengthening, and the best way to do that was to remove me from my role in the top team in the school. So the question I'm asking is this, and we all get bad news. I mean, I'm not talking about seriously bad news, or you may want to go in a serious direction, because I think, for example, breakups are serious, and the way they make you feel can certainly be extremely serious. But what's the lamest excuse someone has given you when they've been the bearer of bad news? And did you believe them at the time? And if you didn't believe them, did you tell them? Or did you walk away with wondering, is my dignity intact because I didn't lose it? Or is my dignity smithereen because I actually didn't call them on the line? Rifue Letsua, hopefully not too many lame excuses in your life, but if there's a story worth telling, we would love to hear it. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, John, and to the rest of the 702 family. So there've been a couple of stories, but the one that I actually thought about now, I was in my mid-20s. So I was just dating this guy, excited, beautiful relationship. Well, I thought it was beautiful, John.
Yeah.
And then one day he's like, we need to talk. So I just thought maybe he's like, we need to have a meaningful, deep conversation. That's what I thought. And he's like, you're too ambitious. I think you should get a dog. I'm ending the relationship.
What? A dog?
No. Yes.
What?
He says I was ambitious and he's like, maybe you should get a dog.
What's a dog got to do with
I
ambition?
I was also like, sorry, you
perplexed.
mean... No, he's like, you're so ambitious and strong. I think you should get a dog. This is not working out. It's you, not me. I was like, a dog and ambition. I was like, it's only been 3 months, dude. And he's like, yeah, but I see where this is going.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I should get a dog.
Going to the dogs, I
Jokes
suppose.
on him. I've got 3 dogs now.
Have you?
3 Rottweilers.
But you never. Did you ever say to him? Sorry. I get that we're breaking up. That I'm very clear about that. But where do dogs come in?
No,
come into it.
I asked him, John, and he kept saying the same thing. You're ambitious. You need someone loyal like a dog. And then he says loyal like a dog. So I don't know whether he was saying that he cheated and he thought he felt bad.
I was going to say maybe he was a dog.
Maybe, because I tried reading in between the lines. He's like, no, you're ambitious, man, girl. God bless you.
Rifue,
I was like, sure.
File it under N for narrow escape.
Yeah, definitely
He doesn't sound very clear or honest. Lame excuses.
Well,
and maybe you've had to use them, by the way. You raising a young person there.
Oh, wow. I come up with so many. I couldn't even think of one. But
no, think of one. We have time.
But the breakup ones, I've heard so many when people break up with me saying, it's not you, it's me, that lame one. But mine is less serious. When I was a waiter, I had to come up with good excuses for why the food is late, why is it cold, and stuff like that. Because it's a hectic job where you have to remember everybody's order. So I would forget people's orders, and then like halfway into, maybe they've been waiting like for 30 minutes, and then I'll always blame it on the cook, The cook is hectic, the cook is under pressure, the cook is this, the cook is that, and I just, got off the hook.
And how did the cook... Well, I suppose the cook...
Well, the cook is behind. Nobody's going to bother going all the way to the cook. And the manager will also be there trying to maneuver the things around and make it work. Yeah, so...
exhausting as you see your tip shrink in front of your eyes. So lame excuses that you've been offered. We sort of talking a little bit about breakups. Mine was the reason I was offered for being dropped from the school team. I mean, I think in hindsight... the obvious reason is not very good at football. But let's hear your story, please. 072702 1702 and 011 883 0702. No excuses for not listening carefully when we give you the traffic news that you need to know. Here's Karabo.
Yeah, no excuses for being late if you have an appointment this afternoon, because traffic is generally looking too bad across most parts of 702 land. Our highways free-flowing. However, it is peak hour traffic. So let me start in Ekurhuleni, Tembisa area, where traffic is heavily backed up, I'm afraid. This is on Olifantsfontein Road, approaching the M57 and the R21. This is, apparently there's a police incident there, heavy police presence. Some of the routes there around Tembisa are closed off to traffic. If you know what's going on in that area approaching Olifantsfontein Road and the M57, please let me know. You can WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702. Still in the Kempton Park area, Morafontein Road in Bursley. There's slow-moving traffic on Morafontein Road. This is between Pretoria Road and Mooifontein. Also, there's bumper-to-bumper traffic in Alberton. This is heading towards Vereeniging. R59 southbound between the Reading Interchange and Kliprivier Drive. Also look out for those faulty traffic lights in Polshof at Witkoppen and Main. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
For Olwethu Nxumalo of Ozide Rentals and Custom Dressmaking, every stitch is a story. What's your Telkom business chapter?
What made Telkom business stand out from all the rest was how fast everything was.
And with voice calling and fiber from Telkom Business, she stitches together inquiries and sources fabric online without dropping a thread.
Get unlimited VoIP 1 from 99 Rand per month and Stream Connect Fiber from 399 Rand per month. Call 10213 or click telkom.co.za. T's and C's apply. Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
Whether you love watching great films or dream of making them, the Johannesburg Film Festival, in partnership with MultiChoice Group, a Canal Plus company, from the 3rd to the 8th of March, has something for you. Experience powerful local and international cinema on the big screen and tap into the JBX Talks, where the people shaping film unpack the craft, the business, and the future of storytelling. It's more than a festival, it's a front row seat to the film world. Book your tickets now at joburgfilmfestival.co.za.
Managing your workforce shouldn't be complicated. That's why businesses choose Honesty, a proudly South African cloud-based payroll and HR solution. From payroll and e-recruitment to performance management and self-service tools, we streamline the way businesses handle their people. Scalable, secure, and always online, our system evolves with your needs because your workforce deserves the best. Switch to Honesty and experience payroll and HR done right. Visit honesty.com today.
What do you call someone who thinks outside the box? Creative. But what about someone who codes the box, brands it, sells it, rebrands it, and leads a team that reinvents it? That's a Red and Yellow graduate. Apply now to Unleash Remarkable with Red and Yellow Creative School of Business, a member of Honoris United Universities.
John is on X
At John Perlman.
702 Drive. Right, let's get to the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry now. Suspended Deputy National Police Commissioner General Shadrack Sibiya has been busy on his 3rd day now of being questioned and putting forward his point and his point of view. Oren Singh has been watching closely and he joins us now. Oren, a very good afternoon to you. The bit I heard, and it seemed to go on for quite a while, was the role that General Sibiya played in the disbanding of the political killings task team. And what seemed to be suggested is that there was a plan, but he also had his own plan and things he was going about. What was that all about? And if there was a conclusion reached, I know these are not final conclusions, but at the end of it, what conclusion did you draw? Let me rather put it that way.
Well, essentially, John, I think from what the commissioners have put forward is that Lieutenant General Sibiya had jumped the gun.
Yes.
There was an implementation action plan that needed to be implemented in terms of disbanding the political killings task team, and he had come up with his own sort of plan that wasn't passed off by the National Commissioner, who should have signed off on it. So essentially he was seen as jumping the gun, issuing this plan to immediately disband the task team. His argument is that I was working towards this common goal that was a directive of Police Minister Senzo Mchunu on the 31st of December 2024. And that directive said that the task team should be disbanded immediately. And so I was working towards this in terms of the directives I had been given and the instructions I had been given. But I think the commissioners have caught him out to some extent.
Yes.
He's been caught out. His back is to a corner heavily, and he's essentially being grilled at this present moment on the political killings task team and the work that they were doing. He seems to say that the PKTT were not this massively successful unit.
Right.
They weren't prolific in the manner in which they went about doing investigations in their successes. He's highlighted several cases that they investigated that the dockets weren't opened as far back as 2019 and so forth. But I think the commissioners have kind of caught him out to say that, fair enough, the political killings task team have been tasked with investigating political killings or political cases. And some of the cases that Shadrack Sibiya has been putting forward are saying these are not political cases that they were investigating. But as part of their mandate was they were allowed to investigate parallel cases that align to a political case. So, for example, if a gun was used to kill a councillor, that's a political killings case that they investigate.
Okay.
But if that gun is used to kill another member of public, it's a parallel murder investigation. And so Shadrack has tried to use these parallel cases to suggest that the political killings task team were not effective. And the commissioners and the evidence leader have somewhat caught him out and are grilling him at this moment in time on that.
I mean, a conversation for another day, perhaps, because I know he has appeared and been questioned before. But would I be right in saying the National Police Commissioner, Fani Masemola, doesn't come off terribly well in these exchanges, even though he's an extra in the movie rather rather than the principal character, because you would have thought on something this is important, his name should have been on everything. He should have been the guy front and center when something as big as this is happening. Should he not have occupied the space that he's now unhappy that Shadrach Sabir filled in ways that he didn't like?
I think you've raised a massively important point, John. And I think through this all, what we're seeing come out of it is that the National Police Commissioner, Fani Masimola, essentially, and I'm going to say it like it is, John, has no backbone. He has been playing both sides into Mkonazi and Dumisani Khumalo's hands, as well as Shadrach Sabir, and sort of exonerating himself, saying, I don't want anything to do with this. Shadrach Sabir, you put your signature on this. You sign it off. Or Dumisani Khumalo, you sign off on this. When essentially you're the National Police Commissioner, you should be taking it on and signing off on all of this stuff. So I think it's coming across quite clear that Fani Masimola had an important role to play in all of this. This all could have been resolved very easily if he stepped in.
Yes.
And understood what the issues were at hand and resolved it. But he seemed to be playing both sides of the fence.
Yeah, and the argument might go. I'm looking at the National Police Commissioner right now on screen. If you get the cap with the gold braid and the epaulets and all the medals, got to step forward. Otherwise, it's not necessarily the job for you. A subject for another day, 27 minutes past 3.
Drive home with John Perlman
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
Well, we've had many disturbing and quite distressing conversations about South Africans tricked and trafficked to go and fight in the war in Russia, or Russia's war in Ukraine, I think is a better way to put it. The South Africans involved were taken there under the false belief that they were going for security training. But what's happening, and this is becoming increasingly apparent, is that this is a problem in other African countries as well. In the country of Kenya, an intelligence report presented to the Kenyan parliament has indicated that whereas back in November, authorities were saying there were some 200 Kenyans who'd been drawn into this war, the number now is more than 1,000. So who is there and under what circumstances have they found themselves on the front line of this long-running and brutal war? Cyrus Ombati is a senior national security and investigative reporter. He joins us on the line from Nairobi, and he's with the Radio Africa Group. Cyrus, welcome, and thanks very much for your time. Can you give us an idea? I mean, most of the Kenyans who found themselves fighting in the Russian army, did they go to Russia believing that that's what they would be doing, that they would be frontline soldiers? Or like our countrymen, were they actually tricked into this position? Good afternoon to you.
Oi. It's noisy in your area.
Okay, are you struggling to hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me better now, Cyrus?
Hello?
Okay, real problem with the line there. Okay, we'll sort that out. I'm sure we'll get him on a better line. I love the way you put it. It is noisy in your area. Indeed it is. And if there's nothing worse, I must say, having at times been a correspondent or doing a crossing the way Cyrus is doing it, finding that there's a whole lot of background static and stuff in the background. So, okay, we will fix it up. Now, we spoke about people letting you down, people offering you lame excuses. I'm just looking at this. The lamest excuse someone has offered you. Please send us those. I see we've got a couple of WhatsApp voice notes, and we've got a couple of your texts that also appear to be in a bit of a noisy area. Here we go. Maluka says, I forgot and I didn't have taxi money. You can't have the two excuses at the same time. As Maluka puts it, you can't have them both coexisting. This one, no name put to it, but says, my worst letdown was in primary school when I auditioned for an operetta. The teacher told me that I could be a goldfish in the choir. In other words, open and shut your mouth. But please don't make a sound. I was devastated, as well you might be. Tell us, by the way, did you take the part or did you decide to walk away? Goldfish, I've never heard that expression. I was told to stay in the choir but keep it down. But I never knew we were goldfish. Ah, yes, memories. Goldfish memories. My goldfish days. Some have golden days. Lots to think about there. Please keep those coming on 011 883 0702 29 minutes to 4.
John Perlman
On 702.
3 to 6 p.m.
Okay, at 29 minutes to 4, it's time for the latest news. Mbali Dlamini, good afternoon.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. Parliament has reported ministers who did not answer all written questions by the end of last year. The ministers have been reported to the leader of government business, Deputy President Paul Mashatile. The biggest culprit has been Public Works Minister Dean McPherson, Communications Minister Solly Malatsi, as well as Planning Minister Marupeni Ramogopa have also fallen foul of Parliament's rules and have now caused the questions posed to them to lapse. Lindsay Dentlinger has more.
Written questions to the executive are a key accountability mechanism for MPs, particularly the opposition, to obtain information from ministers on burning issues. But Public Works Minister Dean McPherson has failed to answer 26 questions posed to him last year. While McPherson did not respond to EWN's request for comment, his cabinet and party colleague, Communications Minister Solly Malatsi, is accepting blame for the 15 unanswered questions directed to his portfolio.
As someone who spent years on the opposition benches, pushing for executive accountability to have questions lapse, and the number of such questions lapsing is totally indefensible.
Malatsi says he's issued his parliamentary liaison officer with a formal warning for failing to meet the deadlines. Other ministers who also failed to meet last year's question deadline include Higher Education Minister Buti Manamela, Minister in the Presidency Kumbutso Ntshavheni, and Sport, Arts and Culture Minister Gayton McKenzie. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
Western Cape Premier Alan Winde says the provincial government took immediate action to curb the spread of foot and mouth disease after the first case in the province. Winde joined MEC for Agriculture Ivan Meyer today to provide an update about government's efforts to curb disease in the province. Officials are monitoring 5 confirmed cases where thousands of cattle have already been vaccinated and quarantined in Mossel Bay, Drakenstein and Cape Town. Last week, President Cyril Ramaphosa announced the country's entire herd of more than 14 million cattle will be vaccinated to curb the spread. Carlo Peterson reports.
Western Cape Premier Alan Winde says a massive coordinated effort was launched to stop the disease from spreading in the province after the first case was reported earlier this month.
I've got to thank those that are involved in our joint operations commands, in our districts, in the municipalities, those people that are at the coalface. I've got to thank the farmers.
Winde reassured the public that the disease is not transferable to humans.
Of course, this is a big issue for agriculture. It's a big issue for the animals in our province, and we've got to protect those animals and the industry. But it's not transferable to humans.
Winde says the province's plan includes quarantines, vaccinations and limiting the movement of livestock in hotspots and at the border of the province. Carlo Peterson, Eyewitness News.
And former Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte will face his pre-trial hearing at the International Criminal Court from Monday. He is charged with 3 counts of crimes against humanity, alleging his involvement in at least 76 murders between 2013 and 2018. According to reports, the 80-year-old will not be present at the hearing after the court granted a request from his defense to waive his right to appear. The hearing, expected to take place over 4 days, will determine whether there is enough evidence against him to proceed with the trial. It's a partly cloudy afternoon in Gauteng today with isolated showers expected. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 27 and 30 degrees.
Tembisa traffic heavily backed up. This is on Olifantsfontein Road approaching the M57. There's a report of a crime scene there following a cash in transit heist. In Alberton, also bumper-to-bumper traffic traveling towards Vereeniging R59 southbound between the N12 Reading Interchange and Kliprefir Drive.
The top story in EWN, Parliament has reported ministers who did not answer all written questions by the end of 2025.
Stand a chance to win a share of a red-hot 3 million rand with the Hollywood Bet Spinner Zonke jackpot race. Enter the chase and enjoy a feast of fun where every spin could unlock riveting rewards. To start your adventure, bet 2 rand or more on selected habanero games every Wednesday, Friday and Saturday between 8:30 and 10:30 p.m. The racing revolution starts now. Dive in and prepare to take top spot.
T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710.
Media is changing fast. The question is, are you leading it or chasing it? The Pulse Media Leadership Conference is a one-day gathering of bold thinkers shaping what's next for media marketing and leadership. It all happens on 26 February from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the Galleria Conference venue in Sandton. Expect insights from Springbok coach Rassie Erasmus, CEO of Montegray Capital Michael Jordan, and global marketing icon Seth Godin, joining us live from New York via Zoom. Tickets are on sale now at ticketpro.co.za. Prime Media Broadcasting is a proud sub-sponsor of the Pulse Media Leadership Conference 2026.
The decision to switch to OUTsurance. Not only was it quick and easy, but gave us more favorable premiums and more cover.
OUTsurance business insurance clients know that it pays to switch. And did you know you could get an out bonus of up to 10% of your paid premiums back for restaurants, pharmacies, and all other businesses? Get a quote today and see why it pays to switch to OUTsurance business insurance. Visit outsurance.co.za or call 08600 60,000 today. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hi, John and the team. I would like to talk about crime stats. I don't think that we should use crime stats as a yardstick to measure whether crime is going down or not, because crime stats rely on people who report crime to the police. And what about those who don't report crime with the police or to the police? Where do we allocate them? So for me, it is just a vague technique which was designed to assist the police on where to allocate resources, not as a yardstick to measure crime. David.
Yeah, thanks, David. You make many valid points. I wouldn't agree with you on saying it's vague, but I think the larger point you're making is that it's imperfect. And the example you give about people not reporting crime is extremely valid. I mean, if you were, for example, to take burglary stats and match them against the number of people who in tough economic times have either allowed their household insurance to lapse or never took out household insurance in the first place. I mean, that just being a single example. We will, by the way, talk about the crime stats and indeed ask exactly those kinds of questions at 4:12. Dr. Simon Howell joins us from the University of Cape Town's Centre of Criminology. I asked you earlier about lame excuses people have given you for letting you down, and a couple of really good ones. Thank you to Mishak, who says, if you're in my shoes, you would have done the same. Mandla sends this one, and I can picture people using it, but I thought you were joking. Russ says, what will the people at church say? And Matsepo says, I wasn't thinking straight. France is very simple in just giving us one word and says, forgot. Indeed, that can be the lamest of lame excuses. It's 21 minutes to 4.
Hi, John. When I was a teen, I was dumped by this boy. He told me, you're such a wonderful person. You are all this, but we have to break up. It's not you, it's me. Like, that is so lame. If I'm all that, why are you breaking up with me?
Hi, John. I'm liking this. We need to strengthen the B team. Ish, you need to be ambitious and get a dog. Yeah. Bring on more. Yeah, this is interesting. Yeah, Jimmy Beaton.
Yeah, lame excuses. Strengthen the B team indeed. It's 20 minutes now to 4.
EWN Sport.
Nope, no B team involved here as Shukri Conrad announces the 15-player squad that will be playing against New Zealand later. Of course, our players in a huge match against India on Sunday, I think 3:30, first ball bowled. Tola Kelem Ganga has that story and more.
Thanks so much, John. And Shukri Conrad has announced his 15-player Proteas squad for the 5-match T20 series against New Zealand that runs from the 15th until the 25th of March. Keshav Maharaj will captain the side, which features 5 uncapped players. They include Kwana Esterhazen, Ngoba Mkwena and Jordan Herman. Gerald Kotsia makes his return to the T20 side for the first time since October 2025, while Tony De Zorzi is back in the squad following his recovery from a right hamstring injury. The series will be played as double headers, with the Proteas women taking to the field in the afternoon before the men's encounters in the evenings across all 5 matches, which is a first for the senior national teams. In the interim, the women turn their attention to the 3-match ODI series against Pakistan that gets underway on Sunday. Coach Mandla Mashimbi has discussed the mentality shift required following a 2-1 T20 series win over the same opponents.
We want to be winners, and when you think like a winner, it means you need to train like one. You need to operate like one. You need to have an environment of winners. Yes, I know that results play a big role in that, but at the same time, you can be a winner yourself in terms of how you train and how you go about your business on a daily basis.
The last 16 action in the Nedbank Cup begins this evening with the KZN derby between Richards Bay and Amazulu. 4 games are then scheduled tomorrow, and they include TS Galaxy up against Mamelodi Sundowns. Miguel Cardoso says he will rotate his team following taxing games against MC Alger and Orlando Pirates.
So we just have to look for the moment, dress to the moment, evaluate very well the moment, and play to win every match. Of course, that trust, I speak a lot about trust, is something the coach must have. And the players need to show they are up to the level of the team they are part of when we give them chances. Being youngsters, olders, the same, whatever. That's what we have to also believe.
Burnley returned to London this weekend for a Premier League clash against Champions League qualification chasing Chelsea. The Clarets upset Crystal Palace last weekend, and Lee Rossignol has warned against complacency against less favoured opposition.
I don't think it's just complacency. I thought Wolves were outstanding yesterday. I watched the game. This is such a strong league now. Every team can beat everyone. That's why the league is so close in terms of points between so many teams. What we have to do is we have to focus on our own performance. We have to make sure that we prepare ourselves right. The way I like to do it is to be consistent in our process, whether we're playing Wolves, whether we're playing Burnley tomorrow, whether we're playing Manchester City, Arsenal, our process is the same. And it has to be that way for you to be consistent in your performance.
And Darian Landsberg will celebrate 50 caps for the Lions when they take on the Sharks in the United Rugby Championship tomorrow. Springbok Rowan Fenter will return to the side to play at flank. There's a debut for Siba Mahashe, who fulfilled the open side role, while Kelly Mpegu's back on the wing after a long injury layoff. Tola Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
Okay, at 16 minutes now to 4 o'clock, let's just catch you up with what's happening out on the roads. Starting to get a bit busy out in Tembisa, you said, Karabo?
Yeah, no, traffic heavily backed up in the Tembisa area on Olifantsfontein Road approaching the M57. We've been receiving reports of a crime scene. This is following a cash in transit heist. Earlier, we received a text message from Zumba, so thanks for that. Heads up. Keep them coming. You can also send us a voice note if you are seeing any issues or troubles on your route on the roads this afternoon. You can WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702. In Alberton, bumper-to-bumper traffic, R59 southbound, that's heading towards Vereeniging. N12, this is between the N12 Reading Interchange and Klipprivier Drive on the R59 southbound. In Germiston, Boksburg, heading towards Brakpan, slow-moving traffic due to roadworks. N17 eastbound between Osborne and Rondebold, while in Sandton, expect some delays on the M1 northbound from Athol Oaklands to Marlborough Drive. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
You're now listening to 702 Afternoon Drive with John Perlman. Brought to you by Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
John is on X.
At John Perlman.
4:15 on 702 Drive. We've been asking you about the lamest excuses that you've been presented with when people have let you down. Ayanda does this in 2 parts. The first message, I'll transfer it in the morning because I've reached my limit. Then in the morning, yo, sister sent me an SMS last night asking for medication. So I've transferred to her, as you know, her current situation. Another one here, which I think maybe a few people have encountered themselves. Sorry, I had one too many. For me, that just means this is what you've always thought but never had the courage to say it. Tolakele, in your rich and interesting life, lame excuses people have offered for letting you down.
The main one always has to relate to money, and somehow the banking app doesn't work
yes.
whenever it's time to pay me back.
Oh, okay. Banking apps never work.
Never work. And I'm just like, well, there are other ways you can send money. And they're like, oh, no, I can't go to the ATM. I can't do this. I can't do that. I'm just like, I'll wait for you to be ready to send me that money again.
And this is the app across the big 5 banks plus all the other
even
payment
the
platforms.
American banks,
yes.
whatever
apps are down.
All of them, the apps are down.
Oh, no. They don't work. This one, by the way, could go with it. Andre says he offers 2 before. I was busy. Second, I forgot. But then this one, my battery just died. Charge your battery, people. Yeah, mine's died a few times too. But I think generally if you're intentional about fulfilling your commitments, would it be fair to say you kind of keep your phone charged, you know how to work the app, you keep a diary? Yeah, made some big mistakes too myself, actually. It's 13 minutes now to 4.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
So we're still going to try and get Cyrus Umpati back because I'm very, very keen. Umbati, I beg your pardon. Cyrus Umbati, who was on the line to us from Nairobi. I'm really keen to hear how the Kenyans are experiencing their own version of their citizens being taken to Russia and fighting in the war. It sounds like a different situation to ours, where people who might be soldiers are being actively recruited as soldiers. But while we try and fix out the lines, Cyrus just sent us these numbers. 39 Kenyans involved in the war hospitalized, 30 have been repatriated, 28 are missing in action, 35 are in military camps, and 89 are on the front lines at present. One of them, he says, is in detention, which I'm not sure if that's on the Russian side for some kind of breach there, or is a prisoner of war captured by the Ukrainians. But either way, Kenya paying quite a high price for that, even as we contemplate the situation some of our countrymen are in. 12 minutes now to 4.
Drive home with John Perlman
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
Sunday is a day when a lot of people either vacate their houses, having cleaned them up and spruced them up to look as best as they possibly can, because they're putting them on sale. And then a larger number, I would assume, because more than one person visits a show house, even in difficult times, a much larger number of people have a whole list of places they want to go and look at. Sunday, it's quite a fun day, actually. I remember when I was looking for property to buy, I quite enjoyed driving around and getting the chance to walk around people's homes. That, however, has been a very difficult situation. I think we're going to find out in a moment exactly when and how. For people when the Joburg billing system hit the crisis that it did, because in addition to people not knowing what they owed, not knowing if payments they'd made had actually been registered, but a key part of the transfer of property is a reconciliation that is accepted on both sides of the final accounts from the old owner and the opening of a new set of accounts for the buyer. Angela Rivers is General Manager at the Johannesburg Property Owners and Managers Association. She joins us now on 702 Drive. Ms. Rivers, welcome and thanks very much for your time. I understand, because you chatted our producers earlier, that there's been some developments in a positive direction with the billing system, and I want to hear about those in a moment. But before we do that, how much of an impediment has this been to the transaction in and transfer of property? Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, John. Thanks so much for having me on your show again. I always appreciate it. So yes, there was a period where the system was down, and a lot of people were really stuck in this kind of limbo of getting their properties transferred. But I am really happy to say that I got a call from the city today to say that the systems are up and running. And because I like to be a bit thorough, I double-checked with one of our transferring attorneys, and the systems are up and running. So Sunday should be a fun day again.
Yeah, I mean, that is good news. So tell us a little bit about the fix. I mean, I don't want to completely brush over what's happened to people, because time is money in these transactions. If you can't move into your new place, sometimes you've got to rent if you are already trying to buy another property. So I don't want to make light of what people have been through. But what's been fixed, and how confident are you that this is not a patch but a genuine solution?
So it's really difficult to say because, the city is quite tight-lipped about what their IT issues are.
Right.
My understanding, and there were so many rumors going around, some of them were the fact that the city hadn't even paid the service providers, that they'd been hacked. So there was a lot of misinformation. The city hasn't ever come out to say what exactly the issue was.
Right.
But I know that they have had a bit of an overhaul on their IT department. And I don't know if it's not going to happen again, but from what I've seen, and I'd say this week alone, their security protocols that they've put into place have really been jacked up. In fact, we battled to even get into a meeting with them today on Zoom because their security their IT security has been really overhauled. So I really hope it doesn't happen again, but it's so difficult with these things. And the big problem that we do have with the issue that we have with the city at the moment is because of the billing crisis, they are under collecting. And when you aren't collecting all the money that's owed to you, obviously you're going to have to cut corners when it comes to certain service providers and contractors.
Right.
And I suspect that is the real kind of foundation of the issue.
What about in commercial letting? Because, I mean, I would have thought as holding the position that you do in engaging with Joburg, property owners, people who rent either rent some sort of commercial or office space, often on a rental plus share of expenses. I mean, that must have been a very, very difficult period as well, particularly when people, cash flow's an issue on both sides of that particular economic, commercial deal.
Absolutely. I mean, look, commercial property is not my expertise. I'm really, I can answer anything about the affordable housing market and how that has suffered. But as with anything and any lease, when your services are included in your lease or you have to pay extra on top of it, no meters aren't being read properly, and you're being billed incorrectly, it is going to have ripple effects, especially if your business is retail as well, and you've got to somehow recoup that from the general man on the street. I think a billing crisis affects everyone. Yes. No one is untouched from it. And the biggest problem that I personally have with the billing crisis, and it's because it's something that I deal with literally on a weekly basis, is the billing is incorrect. The city takes forever to fix the bill.
Right.
Your reference numbers get closed continuously, and then your property gets disconnected.
Yeah.
And the original issue has never been resolved. And that is a system that the city needs to really be focusing on and really delving into why this is happening.
Thanks so much, Angela Rivers, General Manager at the Joburg Property Owners and Management Association. I'd be interested to know, though, I mean, if you've been buying, selling property, I mean, have you been hamstrung by the billing system and the problems it's had? And good to hear from Angela. She's hearing positive noises out of Joburg Metro that the problems are solved. That's good news, but if you're an estate agent, a buyer, a seller, or anyone else who's had some difficulties, maybe share your story with us. And if you've got a sense of what needs fixing and how, that would be even better. Let's see if we can throw out some constructive ideas. 5 minutes now to 4 o'clock.
The team's on a roll today. Let me focus on payroll. Duty calls in the kitchen. That's why I have a business insurer that is agile, and on the ball all the time on all things. I chose My Way Business Insurance, getting 24/7 emergency service and saving on my premiums, plus My Business Assist to handle my admin.
Visit myway.co.za or dial 0860 64 64 64 and get a quote today. My Way is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's, C's and standard rates apply. My Way. Live your way.
For over a decade, Aluma Capital has had one simple mission: to help you secure the financial future you deserve. Over the past 10 years, they've empowered thousands of clients with personalized strategies, expert advice, and impressive returns of up to 13.2%. Whether it's growing wealth, securing retirement, or planning for the unexpected, Aluma Capital is there every step of the way. Visit aluma.co.za today. Aluma Capital is a licensed FSP. T's and C's apply.
Mzansi, Powerball and Powerball Plus are bringing the excitement with 75 million rand in total guaranteed jackpots this Friday. Don't delay. Play Powerball for a guaranteed 50 million rand and Powerball Plus for the guaranteed 25 million rand today. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app or cell phone banking. Panda, Pusha, play. Players must be 18 years old and play responsibly. E2 is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
Driving the conversation on 702 Afternoon Drive with John Perlman. Powered by Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
John Perlman
On 702.
3 to 6 p.m.
If you run a business, you'll know that vehicles aren't just vehicles. They are capital investments on four wheels, and capital should perform. Today, 702's Jonathan Fairburn is ready to take you inside Pro One, an exclusive Stellantis showcase that's all about spotlighting the Peugeot professional pickup range and how it can perform for your business, whether you're in agriculture, logistics, or construction. Kabazela back with us now, but you've had a very, very interesting morning hanging out with the Buckies, eh?
Yeah, I did, John. It was a very interesting event that I was at today with the Stellantis guys. And I mean, maybe let's just talk about Stellantis firstly. If you think about Peugeot, Citroen, Jeep, Fiat, Opel, Maserati.
Okay.
Really, really amazing.
No Maserati Buckies yet, eh?
No, not yet,
Okay.
but who knows, maybe. Really iconic car brands, right?
Mm-hmm.
And most of these brands have been around for many, many, many years. But today's event, which was basically the Pro One, was the focus of their commercial offering to the fleet industry and to business owners who use these kind of Buckies on a daily basis. And I mean, if you think about when you're driving around the roads of 702 land, you'll notice how many panel vans, how many Buckies there are on the roads, and these are all basically vehicles that are used for various types of work and are driving the economy, right? So they're hugely important. So today's event was basically showcasing what Pro One is, and it's Peugeot's offering to the market, to the fleet market, to basically say, we're a one-stop shop. So you can bring your business to us. So if you're the fleet manager or you're a business owner and you've got multiple vehicles that you have with various guys going out to do work, you can come to us and we'll tailor make solutions for you for your Bucky. So you can basically go and say, listen, I have this need. I need X amount of space. I need this amount of storage, all this kind of stuff. They can do that for you. They can customize. So basically what Pro One is they are dedicated to the business market. And it's a huge thing. I mean, I have mates that have, a business who have panel vans and all that kind of stuff. And it is a complex thing. I mean, you've got to think about the price of the vehicle. Then you've got to think about running costs of the vehicles, right? How much fuel, the licensing, the branding, and all that kind of stuff. So Peugeot are coming in to make this easier and simpler and really taking this business market very, very, very seriously. One of the interesting things that I saw today as well is the Citroen brand, obviously, is under the Stellantis brand. They have come up with this new, let's call it a small vehicle for like a small business, right? Okay. So it's a Citroen C3, which is essentially a hatchback car.
Yes.
Right? And because of the market needs, they've adapted this C3 to they've taken out all the back seats and they've basically made it like a panel back that you can load things in. So the front, very nice and luxurious and comfortable, but a workhorse in the back, which is, I think, really innovative.
Yeah.
And well priced, so that if you are wanting to get into the business market or start your own little business, this is a great car to use. And the name is called Ola. So, like, do you remember Ola Seven?
Yeah.
So it's basically Ola is the name of this Citroen C3, which I thought was really, really amazing. But to close, if you are in the fleet market, you need vehicles for your business, you run your own business and you need workhorses like Bucky's. Peugeot are the place to go. They're taking it very serious. They've got big plans for South Africa, and especially in terms of helping grow that small, medium enterprise market as well.
Yeah, and exciting at a time when people are talking about the car business and all its travails, that people are saying we're thinking big, we're investing big, and we'd love you to come over and have a chat with us about your needs. If your fleet is due for an upgrade, visit your nearest Peugeot dealership to see how you can power your business with the confidence of Peugeot Professional. It's just gone 4 o'clock.
This is EWN.
A dedicated team investigating officers implicated at Madlanga Commission, and the ANC still open to working with Action SA despite the cold shoulder. Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. Acting Police Minister Feroz Kachalia has confirmed that a dedicated team is investigating officers implicated at the Madlanga Commission as well as Parliamentary Ad Hoc Committee. Kachalia says those found to be on the wrong side of the law will face disciplinary action. He made the remarks while releasing the third quarter crime statistics in Pretoria this afternoon. 9 current and former Ekurhuleni municipality workers and 5 police officers implicated in the Madlanga Commission's interim report have been referred to the police for criminal investigation. Kachalia says tackling organised crime requires vetting as well as lifestyle audits in order to remove officials who collude with criminals.
The National Commission and I have agreed that the panels that will be set up to deal with those disciplinary cases will be presided over by an outside expert.
Mineral Resources Minister Gwede Mantashe has refused to speculate on the circumstances that led to the mudslide that left 5 miners trapped underground at the Ekapa mine in Kimberley. Technical teams are working to bring the workers who have been trapped since Tuesday back to the surface. Mantashe visited the plant today to meet with mine management and the senior team behind the rescue operation. He says the rescue efforts have been stalled by difficult underground conditions, including rising water levels.
But what is important is that the mining company is more focused now on rescuing those people. To us, that is a takeaway.
Mantashe says investigations to determine the cause are still underway.
After that investigation, we'll be able to say this is the cause. And the reason that I'm talking about CGS, that it must come here to determine where the source of water is and all that, is because that should be part of the investigation so that we don't speculate on the causes.
The ANC in Ekurhuleni says the door is still open for Action SA to join its governing coalition in the Metro. This is despite Herman Mashaba's party having recently rejected that offer. The ANC currently leads a minority government in Ekurhuleni following the EFF's decision to pull out of that coalition. A minority government makes it difficult for the ANC to pass through its legislative agenda in council and also susceptible to be removed through a motion of no confidence. Tabiso Koba takes a look.
On Tuesday night, Ekurhuleni Mayor Dr. Xhakaza reshuffled his cabinet, adding Action SA's Councillor Xolani Khumalo as the new MMC for bylaw enforcement. However, Action SA quickly made an announcement that its councillor would not be joining what it calls a corrupt and failing government. At a media briefing today, ANC's Regional Secretary Jongizizwe Dlabati claims Action SA was threatened by the EFF to reject the offer at the last minute. Dlabati says the EFF threatened to remove Action SA's Nasipi Moya as the mayor of Tshwane.
There is no one who will remove the executive mayor of Tshwane without the African National Congress. Mr. Mashaba got easily scared and succumbed to the threat.
Dlabati says a deal can still be made with Action SA.
We view Action SA as a party that can still play a role in cementing the stability, and we wish to say that our doors continues to be open.
Leaders of both Action SA and EFF have rejected the claims by the ANC. Thabiso Koba, Eyewitness News.
And former Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte will be facing his pre-trial hearing at the International Criminal Court from Monday. He is charged with 3 counts of crimes against humanity, alleging his involvement in at least 76 murders between 2013 and 2018. According to reports, the 80-year-old will not be present at the hearing after the court granted a request from his defense for him not to appear. The hearing, expected to take place over 4 days, will determine whether there is enough evidence against him to proceed with the trial. Gold is trading at $5,035.98 an ounce. The rand is at 16.10 to the dollar, 21.68 to the pound, 18.93 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $71.66 a barrel.
Driving through Eastland, heading towards Montana, Pretoria, there's traffic pressure on the N1 northbound. From the Proof Plus interchange all the way to the N4 Tembisa. Traffic remains heavily backed up on Olifantsfontein Road, approaching the M57 due to a crime scene following a cash-in transit heist. Alberton, bumper-to-bumper traffic, R59 southbound between the N12 Reading interchange and Kliprefir Drive.
In your sport, the Proteas women shift their focus to the ODI series against Pakistan. TS Galaxy out to upset a confident but fatigued Mamelodi Sundowns in the Nedbank Cup. And 50 up for Darian Landsberg as the Lions host the Sharks in the United Rugby Championship.
A partly cloudy Saturday in store for Gauteng tomorrow with isolated afternoon showers expected. Johannesburg drops to overnight lows of 15 degrees, peaking at 27. Pretoria 16 and 29 and Vereeniging 15 and 28 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour, Acting Police Minister Feroz Kachalia has confirmed that a dedicated team is investigating officers implicated at the Madlanga Commission as well as the Parliamentary Ad Hoc Committee.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
7:02.
Drive home with John Perlman.
John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m.
on 92.7 and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
8 minutes past 4 on 702 Drive. Thanks so much for joining us. It's great to have you with us on this Friday as the weekend draws closer. I hope you got some good things planned, and that might include a weekend where some people would say this is the best kind of weekend, where you have absolutely nothing planned, just relaxing and taking the very, very best rest that you can. Whatever's lined up, it's getting closer, and I hope you're looking forward to it. We've got some stuff that you can look forward to on the show. We're going to get some analysis on the latest crime statistics, the period under review, called Q3, but that's because of the financial year. Q3 is actually the last quarter of 2025. So the figure's pretty recent, but what do they actually mean? And crucially, to what kind of use do the police put all this data? That's a question that has always intrigued me. Hopefully we'll get some clarity, and I'm sure we will, from Dr. Simon Howell, joining us from the University of Cape Town's Centre of Criminology. But your feedback too, please, because the numbers tell us one thing, your perceptions, feelings about crime, about the neighborhood where you live, about the place where you try to either work or generate work for other people. So many different areas in the cities and towns where we live that we have to watch carefully. It's not just the place where we put down our hats and call it home. So your thoughts on crime and how it's affected you, and what you make of the numbers, or what you first comes to mind, I suppose, when you hear of the release of the stats. That conversation coming up in just a moment. Later in the show, another round, but it's a big one, of the Brain of 702 because it's Friday. We also crown the Brain of the Week in addition to 1,500 Rand for winning this round. The prize goes up to 10,000 Rand. And then after 5, some developments, I suppose, in the Gauteng water situation. Government has approved an urgent water use license application from Rand Water, which says they can take additional water from the integrated Vaal River system. What difference might that make to you and what comes out of your taps? 5:10, we'll chat to Dr. Sean Phillips, Director General for the Department of Water and Sanitation. Earlier we asked you the lamest excuse that's been offered to you by people who let you down. Maybe it's generic. Maybe it's a story that's highly specific. That's what some of you had to say.
Good afternoon, guys. John, on that lame excuse, I've heard someone say, no, I'm breaking up with you because you are just too good for me. It's not you. You are just too good. I'm not as good as you are. That slaps harder than it's over. I don't want you. You keep on asking yourself, but, you know. Thanks, guys. Great show.
This is Rob from Tenton. My biggest letdown was after I'd taken my Valentine for a very romantic dinner at the Zoo Lake restaurant way back then. The next Saturday, I asked if I could come and spend some time with her, and she said, sorry, I'm cleaning my room. That was the last time I spoke to her.
I think that's understandable that it was the last time you spoke to her. I get that this was a significant letdown. Sorry, I'm cleaning my room. William picks out this, and this is one I'm sure many of you heard. Sorry, something came up. That, William says, is not an explanation, mate. Something? You can't say that when you've let me down so badly and made me feel stupid. The other one that a few of you referred to, sorry, I was in a meeting. Yeah, that comes up quite often, I think, as an excuse. And then Sienki says, I forgot. Seriously? You forgot? I suppose there is this thing in defense of I forgot. That could just be true. I forgot. And then it's up to you to decide. What is it that you make of the fact, Karabo Charlie, that I was so unimportant to you that you forgot we were meeting for lunch? But maybe I forgot is true.
Not when you owe me money. You can never forget that you owe someone money.
Because you're going to remind me anyway. Anyway, remind us of what's going on in the traffic. It's 13 minutes past 4.
EWN Traffic.
The early rush hour that characterizes a Friday. How's it looking?
Well, it is pretty busy, I must say. Let me just start in Pretoria. Eastland area heading towards Montana. Traffic pressure, N1 northbound. From the Proeflas interchange to the N4 Tembisa, traffic remains heavily backed up on Olifantsfontein Road, approaching the M57 due to a crime scene that's following a cash-in-transit heist. In Alberton, bumper-to-bumper traffic on the R59 southbound, that's heading towards Vereeniging, N12. This is between the N12 Reading interchange and Klipprivier Drive, while in Germiston, Boksburg, roadworks causing some delays on the N17 eastbound, that's heading towards Brakpan between Osborne and Rondebold, while in Sandton, expect some delays traveling towards Midrand, M1 northbound, from Ethel Oaklands to Marlborough Drive, and finally in the Joburg CBD heading towards Boysen, slow-moving traffic M1 southbound. This is from Killarney Bends to the Crown Interchange. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Aubrey Masango.
Weekday evenings,
8 to midnight.
Francis Lai Hong, advisor to the Chinese Association in Gauteng. Year of the Horse. What does that mean?
The year of the horse is normally one of energy and enthusiasm. You know, the horse sign is normally associated with people that are go-getters. The year of the horse, what it means for this year, hopefully for South Africans as well, is that it's a year where we move forward, and we move forward quite significantly in politically, financially, the gold price. So I think all good things to come, Aubrey.
Aubrey Masango.
8 to midnight on 702.
702.
Think fast. Fast downloads, fast streaming, fast wins. Because whether you're chasing high scores, deadlines, or the next episode, buffering is not part of the plan. That's why your home needs the power of OpenServe Fiber. Fast, reliable Wi-Fi that keeps up with your life. And when you sign up before the end of March, you will score a free Netflix voucher. Level up your home connection with OpenServe Fiber and feel the difference speed makes. Visit openserve.co.za today. T's and C's apply.
Naked people are great dancers. Because naked people spend less time on insurance admin, they have more time to perfect their moves. Go to naked.insure now, get a car insurance quote in 90 seconds, and get naked. Naked Financial Technology is an authorized FSP.
Mzansi, Powerball and Powerball Plus are bringing the excitement with 75 million rand in total guaranteed jackpots this Friday. Don't delay. Play Powerball for a guaranteed 50 million rand and Powerball Plus for the guaranteed 25 million rand today. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app or cell phone banking. Panda, Pusha, Play. Players must be 18 years old and play responsibly. E2 is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
South Africa's youth face a real crisis, with 8.8 million young people between the ages of 18 and 35 not in education, employment or training. But there is a solution. SA Youth is the country's largest free online youth recruitment platform, connecting employers to over 4.5 million young work seekers. John Shami Suryanarayan, who is the Chief Impact Officer at Harambee Youth Employment Accelerator, on The Money Show with Stephen Curtis next Tuesday from 7:10 p.m. as she shares how SA Youth is breaking barriers, supporting over 3,000 employers and powering entry-level opportunities across all sectors. Only on 702. Let's walk the talk.
Stay with 702 Afternoon Drive with John Perlman. Brought to you by Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
Right, let's get into the crime stats that have just been released. The murder rate has fallen in the third quarter of 2025. Overall violent crime, according to Acting Police Minister Professor Feroz Kachalia, says that this has declined by 6.7% during the same period. The release of the crime stats is always a time of debate as to exactly what these numbers mean. It's a mix between the kind of broad figures that I've given, falls or rises in particular murder categories, and then, of course, you can drill down literally to police station level and find out what's going on there. Let's try and understand a few things better with my next guest. He is Dr. Simon Howell, who is a criminologist at the University of Cape Town's Centre of Criminology. Dr. Howell, welcome, and thanks very much for giving us your time today. Before we talk about how we as the citizens might understand and even make use of these crime stats, what can you tell us about the way in which the police actually use these stats? Do you get a sense that it is an effective and focused tool for budget and resource allocation, for planning and strategy?
On the one hand, so the crime stats are useful in terms of research. They're useful statistically. But on the other hand, one has to ask whether the crime stats and the decreases that have been highlighted actually translate into safer streets and safer communities as experienced by South Africans. And I think often there's a disconnect between statistics and what people feel on the streets.
The numbers, though, surely can't be meaningless. I mean, I suppose people in the police or politicians might argue if you're going to use the fact that the numbers have gone up to arm yourself with a stick to beat us, you can't very well say the numbers don't matter when they go down. I mean, what do they tell us? And your point is well taken that a number doesn't make you feel safer.
Yeah, well, I mean, statistically, they have shown that, violent crimes have been on the decrease, which is good, and that is indicative of successful policing measures and the like. The monitoring statistics is very useful in understanding the broader level concerns around policing and whether they are having some form of efficacy, so long as you believe that arrests are indicative of success. And that, I think, is a conversation we don't particularly have in South Africa, is are the things we're measuring actually measuring the things we want to measure? If we are concerned with safety, then arrest rates don't necessarily reflect safety. I mean, they may in some instances, but not necessarily. Whereas, how do we then monitor the success of the police becomes a separate question. But in this instance, as the acting minister mentioned, the decreases have been sustained, and that is important more so than just a slight decrease, is that they've been sustained over a longer period of time, which shows that there is some success here. But in the context of South Africa's very high crime rate, even a decrease may not be that big a decrease in totality.
I want to ask you on this theme, Dr. Howell, and the word I use for it, and it may not be right, is displacement. And on the one hand, when we drill down to station level, you might see what looks like a stellar performance by a couple of police stations, but you might find 4, 5, 7, 10 kilometers away, those crimes are having a surge, which would suggest that a regional or district or even metro problem hasn't been solved. It's just moved. How do we better understand that? I mean, presumably if you want Joburg to be safe, you can't, say you've got 4 police stations where a particular crime is down.
Sure, exactly. So, as you get more granular with the data, you find that there are larger disparities. The disparity you've mentioned between, one station having a decrease in crime and another station not, is a function of the importance of station commanders and the efficacy of station commanders.
Right.
In my experience, that station commanders can either make or break a police station and a police precinct, and good station commanders do work hard to ensure that there are decreases in crime. And in that instance, then statistics are very meaningful. But when you begin aggregating them upwards towards the city level, then there is always going to be that disaggregation in the sense that that at a city level, then you're not taking into account the microcosm of crime, but you're looking at it at a larger, higher scale. So, on the one hand, it does highlight the importance of individuals within the system as a whole, namely station commanders. But on the other hand, it also does highlight that we perhaps need to begin measuring things in a slightly different way so as to understand what exactly is going on and how people feel about it, or how people experience safety and crime in their daily lives.
And this is where some people are saying there's got to be a much richer representation of what's going on that throws in, firstly, arrest figures, but much more crucially, prosecution and conviction. Because if because I have a sense, and you'll tell me if I'm being unfair, but quite often the style of policing is very performative, big roadblocks, lots of arrests, and so on. But if, for example, a strong presence on the street discourages drug dealers from operating in a particular area, they don't then go and find new careers. They just go and find other places to sell drugs and let their network know that they may need an Uber.
Yeah, exactly. So, you've hit it exactly there. Is that, arrests don't necessarily cash out into efficacy or sustained change. So, as you mentioned, one way of doing that would be to compare arrests to convictions, which is not often done because it doesn't present a very good story at all. And the other would be to question whether, if for instance, you are measuring the number of arrests of drugs or drug arrests in the country, which are always tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands. We've been doing that. Well, South African police services have been arresting hundreds of thousands of people for many, many years, the last 30 odd, and have the number of drugs decreased on the street? Not at all. So, you've got to question the efficacy of a process whereby the numbers keep going up and yet the actual product or the market doesn't seem to decrease. And that's because, you can't really arrest your way out of social problems such as drug use, and you actually need something else. And that means we need to measure it in a different way. And that would require combining data for instance, social development, health, or treatment centers, so as to understand the arrests in the context in which they're occurring, rather than the arrests simply in the context of other crime numbers.
Dr. Hull, I want to come back to something you said about station commanders and broaden the point you're making to this. Obviously, we're casting a very critical eye on, firstly, the numbers, and secondly, the way in which the numbers are presented as a representation of the crime system. But I would have thought in those numbers, and particularly the data at station level, there must be success stories that can be, firstly, properly understood, but then secondly, analyzed with a view to scaling them upwards and sideways to get more police stations to do what successful ones are doing. What's your sense of the extent to which the police learn from their best members and officers?
Indeed, I mean, as you mentioned, they do conduct such analysis, and there are a number of sterling cases of policing in this country. I mean, we typically tar the police with the same brush, and it's generally negative terms, but there is a lot of good work and hard work going on every single day in this country to make the country and the community safer, and that should be acknowledged. In instances where there are sterling work, or there may be a station that is clearly defining itself as successful, then there are interventions to learn from those. The problem, of course, is that station commanders tend to get circulated around quite a lot. So as soon as they've established a presence within the community, they are often moved around. And there are reasons for doing that, which I understand. But equally, one should question, whether we shouldn't review this policy and begin trying to understand how good station commanders work and operate, and how they can then scale those successes so as that they can be felt at a cluster level, and then a provincial level, and ultimately nationally.
Thanks so much, Dr. Simon Howell. He joins us from the University of Cape Town Centre for Criminology. Just on those crime stats, I mean, do you know your station commander? I mean, I suppose in some circumstances one would think, I wish I didn't, because I went there because something bad had happened. But there are a lot of people who work very closely, community WhatsApp groups, CPFs, and others where the station commander becomes a significant figure in your community. And if you do know of and have dealt with an excellent station commander, maybe tell a story, call us and tell us who the person is and what it is that they do that actually makes you feel significantly and meaningfully safer, even if none of us feel entirely safe given the circumstances in the country. So that's my one line I'm throwing out. And then the other is, of course, for people who are themselves working in the police, when you feel that you're having success in the fight against crime, what has made the difference? Has it been resources? Has it been a commanding officer? Has it been a partnership with a community, either instigated by yourselves or community members, or both? I'm very keen to hear about these small things that work, because small things invariably are scalable, particularly if you keep them off PowerPoints. You have a chance of actually making a difference. So let's start here. 072 702 1702. It's 27 minutes past 4.
EWN Business.
Stephen Curtis, good afternoon to you. I saw some things moving in a positive direction today, if not dramatically, but at least meaningfully. What's been going on?
Well, Spa wasn't one of them.
No, I gather.
So yes, the JSE All Share is up nearly 0.5%, 122,425 points. Financials down 0.29%. Industrials down 0.19%. Resources up 1.29%. Gold past $5,000 again. Platinum moving as well quite nicely. But the story probably Spa down 6.66%, which I think is a pretty evil number. But they're down so strongly because this morning they announced that their CEO, Angelo Swartz, has resigned. He'll spend 3 months helping with the handover. He's being replaced by the current chief financial officer, Risa Isaacs. And the board saying the group's strategic direction will not change, although they'll create a new position of managing director for the position of groceries and liquor. But John, they've had so many issues. They had to get rid of some of the European operations in Poland and Switzerland. They've had issues as well. They're being sued by a group that owns a very large number of spas because of the botched SAP rollout. And then at the same time, I think they're battling to compete against ShopRite, Checkers, because of their structure, which is different people owning stores rather than a sort of corporate store model. And so all of that putting them in a very difficult spot. Bytes are down 1.77, Growth Point down 1.75, and then the financial shares, Standard Bank down 1.38 as well, and Mondi's down again. Clicks is down 1.26. DRD Gold, though, they're up 5.8%, and Platinum Miners much stronger too because of a stronger platinum price. Kumba's up 3.49 after those results yesterday. Dis-Chem reporting their group revenue up 10% from the beginning of December to the middle of February. Like-for-like retail revenue up 5.7%. They say they've been able to grow market share. And the gold and platinum producer Sibanye-Stillwater, like other miners, John, their profit jumping 280% in the year to the end of December, paying out their first dividend in 2 years. There was, though, a drop in the production of gold by 10%, and their platinum production was also down by 0.8%. Essentially, we're seeing, things going back to the fundamentals in terms of gold and platinum prices, and that's showing in the results. Stock index futures in the US dipping. So GDP figures came in for the US. This is for the fourth quarter, so last year. And that inflation was also slightly higher than expected. So on an annualized rate, people were expecting that the US economy would have grown at 3%. It had been 4.4% the previous quarter. It only came in at 1.4%. So from an expectation of 3 to come in at 1.4. Now, look, this will be revised. And I'm sure when who wakes up, there'll be a big argument again about the accuracy of the statistics. But either way, pretty bad news for the US economy for the moment, by their standards at least. The gold price now, $5,045.45 an ounce. Platinum, $2,133.10. Brent crude still high, John. That US build up around Iran, $71.41. And then the rand to the dollar, 16.11, to the euro, 18.95, to the British pound, 21.71. Stephen Curtis, EWN Business.
Thanks, Stephen. Bringing us to 4:30. Time to get the latest update on what's happening in Eyewitness News. Mbali Dlamini, they're still wrangling over that patch where there is or isn't gold, but there's certainly a lot of digging going on. What's the latest?
That's correct, John. A lot of digging taking place. Well, law enforcement authorities have now issued a stern warning to groups of people that have been digging for gold in Springs, Ekurhuleni. Over the past week, a kraal in the Gugulethu informal settlement in Springs has been at the heart of a mini gold rush following rumors of gold deposits in the ground. There have been repeated crackdowns in that area by police who have described the activity as illegal mining. Earlier today, authorities started filling the dug trenches at that site. Tabiso Koba reports.
Front-loader trucks, TLBs and other specialized machinery have been deployed towards law enforcement authorities are calling an illegal mining site. The mission is to level the surface, clear the dumping spots and compact the soil in order to make it difficult for people to mine again in the area. On the sidelines, residents from the Gugulethu informal settlement watch on as their hopes of striking gold get buried under a thick pile of sand. One of those is Tembelani Mazaleni.
Many people are poor because of this place closing down, because at least they were benefiting. Many people are unemployed here, so I don't know where they're going to get food from. Maybe they should start breaking into people's homes and steal.
Law enforcement authorities have warned the community members they will be arrested should they come back and start mining again. Tabiso Koba, Eyewitness News, Springs.
A Cape Town cop killer faces a lengthy spell in jail after being handed 4 life sentences in the Western Cape High Court. 27-year-old Craig Amon will effectively serve a life term after being convicted of 4 murders, including a police constable in Delft. In 2017, Amon shot and killed 3 men during an attempted robbery. In a separate incident in 2020, also in Delft, Amon stabbed and critically injured an off-duty officer. Amon was also convicted of the murder of a police constable in the same area on the 19th of March in 2021. Hawks spokesperson Zinzi Hani says Hawks head Matipa Mahato welcomed the sentence and commended investigators and the prosecution team.
He further cautioned those who attack police officials to say that the attack of the police is an attack to the state, and we will leave no stones unturned to bring the perpetrators to book.
And Venezuela's National Assembly has unanimously passed a new amnesty law that could lead to the release of hundreds of people jailed for political reasons dating back to 1999. The bill was quickly signed by acting President Delcy Rodriguez and is seen as part of a broader effort to ease political tensions. This follows the capture of former President Nicolas Maduro by U.S. Special Forces. The law will not apply to anyone prosecuted or convicted for promoting instigating or participating in armed actions against the state, as well as serious crimes like murder, human rights violations, corruption, and drug trafficking. Critics warned that this could leave many prominent opposition figures out of its scope, while human rights groups and families of detainees say while many prisoners have already been freed, hundreds remain in custody. A partly cloudy Saturday in store for Gauteng tomorrow, with isolated afternoon showers expected, lows of between 15 and 16 degrees and highs of between 27 and 29.
Driving through Eastland, Pretoria, heading towards Montana, traffic pressure on the N1 northbound from the Proof Plus interchange all the way to the N4 in Garsfontein, still Pretoria. Traffic congested approaching the intersection of Solomon Mahlangu and Garsfontein Road. And in Tembisa, traffic remains heavily backed up on Olifantsfontein Road approaching the M57 due to a crime scene following a cash-in-transit heist.
The top story in EWN, law enforcement authorities have issued a stern warning to groups of people who have been digging for gold in Springs, Ekurhuleni.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9.
The former Constitutional Court Judge, Justice Edwin Cameron, was diagnosed with HIV at a time when it really was a death sentence. He was lucky enough, of course, because he had access to treatment. But also he asks what I think is a stunning question: is South Africa prepared for an aging generation of HIV survivors?
I think we're underprepared. We need to raise awareness of the fact that if you were ill when you started on ARVs, you are more vulnerable to certain aging conditions, to cardiothoracic problems, cardio-arterial problems.
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9.
On 702.
Amidst global uncertainty, Africa offers opportunities. At the African Markets Conference 2026, decision makers from across Africa and the world will explore how policy reform, market development, and private capital can accelerate sustainable growth across the continent at scale. Learn more at standardbank.co.za/CIB. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Let's be honest, Africa could be doing way better, but complaining won't change anything. Getting involved will. If you care about Africa's future and want to be part of something that disrupts the status quo, then this is for you. Download the Our Platform app, which focuses on problem solving, global competitiveness, and self-love. Africa is changing the narrative. Don't get left behind. Download Our Platform. Say hello to the new look Africa.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Good afternoon, John. I remember I broke up with this girl. I told her straight, I'm too good for you. You do not deserve me. She was gutsmangs. I told her straight, no, you don't deserve me. And that's it.
Okay. If anyone leaves me and says it's because you don't deserve me, I don't think I'm buying, eh? Not in the market for that by way of an explanation. We were talking about lame excuses that have been offered to you by people who've let you down in some way, shape or form. Keep those coming, please, on 011 883 0702 and 072 702 1702. This one keeps coming up. I forgot. 22 minutes to 5.
EWN Sport.
Well, some people will say Australia forgot to really bring their A game to the T20 World Cup, but Tolakele, they've got one more game.
Absolutely, John, and they're currently in action against Oman, who are at the crease on 89 for the loss of 6 after 14 overs. Batting is Ali on 25 not out, alongside Ramadani on 9. So far, Bartlett has taken 2 alongside Zampa, who's also taken the same number of wickets. Switching over to the Nedbank Cup, Ekurhuleni United will be out to avoid a giant killing when they travel to Amadax for their last 16 clash tomorrow. Babina Noko have been knocked out in the quarterfinals in the last 2 seasons, and with the club aiming for silverware this campaign, Eric Tinkler says his players are fully focused on the upcoming clash.
They know the importance, and they know how important it is for them to apply themselves in the correct manner. And I don't think there can be any now lack of confidence, because we've won the last 3. Were they tough? Yes. Did we fight to get those results? Yes. So now it's about the performances getting better. And as I said, you can feel the atmosphere at training is a lot better.
Pep Guardiola insists it's not advantage Manchester City in the Premier League title race, despite Arsenal dropping points to Wolves in midweek. That draw has seen the gap between the top 2 narrow down to 5 points, with City having a game in hand and a home match against Mikel Arteta's men to come in April.
There were 9 points because we have a game on hand when everybody has the same fixtures, same games being played, and after we have the different. Many things is going to happen. I said 2 weeks ago. Many things is going to happen until the end of the season. 70% of the players are new, so they don't have experience to live these kind of situations.
Benfica have begun an investigation into 2 fans who were filmed making monkey gestures in the direction of Real Madrid's Vinicius Jr. That's during the UEFA Champions League match this week. During that clash, forward Vinicius accused Gianluigi Prestini of racially abusing him, claims the Argentine midfielder has denied, insisting that he's the victim of defamation. And former MotoGP champion Jorge Martin will make his on-track return during this weekend's final pre-season testing in Thailand. That's after receiving clearance from the Grand Prix World Championship Medical Unit. The Spaniard was granted clearance to travel after a positive evaluation last week and will make his first on-track appearance since last year's Valencia post-race test. Martin had a 2025 season to forget following his switch to Apparelli after suffering major injuries in a pre-season crash, one at the Qatar Grand Prix, and then in December he underwent 2 revision surgeries on his left wrist and right collarbone. Tola Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic is brought to you by Cars.coza. Let's find what moves you at 19 minutes to 5. Karabo Chali, Pretoria, getting busy.
Yeah, a couple of issues in the city of Tshwane at this hour, driving through Eastland. This is heading towards Montana. Traffic pressure N1 northbound from the Proof Plus interchange to the N4. Garsfontein, traffic congested approaching the intersection of Solomon Mahlangu and Garsfontein Road in Tembisa. Traffic remains heavily backed up. This is on Olifantsfontein Road approaching the M57 due to a crime scene. This is following a cash and transit heist. Alberton, bumper-to-bumper traffic heading towards Vereeniging. That's the R59 southbound from the N12 Reading interchange to Kliprivier Drive. Germiston, Boksburg heading towards Brakpan. Roadworks slowing down traffic on the N17 eastbound between Osborne and Rondebolt. Sandton heading towards Midrand. Still expect some delays on the M1 northbound from Athol Oaklands to Marlborough Drive, and in the Joburg CBD heading towards Boysons. There's slow-moving traffic on the M1 southbound from Killarney Bends to the Crown interchange. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
It's Carl de Koza here in another Carl de Koza production starring Carl de Koza and Cars.Koza. In this country, we don't just drive cars, we love cars. So slide into our DMs on WhatsApp and let's find what moves you.
We're on the ground and in the air with Thulani Sijo, founder of Take a Pic Drones. What's the flight plan for your connectivity?
The need for stable network connectivity is an absolute must in my field.
And with Telkom Business Fiber and Flexon, Thulani uploads high-res tower inspections and navigates seamlessly on the go.
Get Stream Connect Fiber from 399 Rand per month and Flexon 4 Pro from 219 Rand per month. Call 10213 or click telkom.co.za. T's and C's apply. Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
Stop and think. Will you survive the AI revolution or thrive? Regenesis students are thriving. 11 cutting-edge schools, 111 countries. World-class team of 1,111 with one mission: awakening your potential. You can choose from law, business, technology, AI, health, economics, entrepreneurship, public management, skills academy, and digital Regenesis. Undergraduate, postgraduate, upskilling, customized corporate programs. The question isn't can you afford to enroll, it's can you afford not to? Enroll now. Regenesis.net. Achieve your dreams.
Amidst global uncertainty, Africa offers opportunities. At the African Markets Conference 2026, decision makers from across Africa and the world will explore how policy reform, market development, and private capital can accelerate sustainable growth across the continent at scale. Learn more at standardbank.co.za/CIB. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
You're now listening to 702 Afternoon Drive with John Perlman. Brought to you by Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
When the brightest brains collide in the biggest general knowledge quiz in Gauteng, it's time for the Brain of 702.
That it most certainly is. It is time to put your brilliance on display in the Brain of 702. Prove your mental might for your chance to win a share of 130,000 Rand in cash and, of course, up for grabs, the highly coveted title of the Brain of 702. You could win 1,500 Rand in this round and 10,000 Rand to be crowned the Brain of the Week. The Brain of 702. Your brain, our stage. Are you ready to step into the spotlight? The winner of this round gets 1,500 Rand and will be crowned the Brain of the Day. They will also win 10,000 Rand as the weekly Brain of 702. Ultimately, you could go on to win a further 30,000 Rand should you be declared the Brain of 702. To be a part of the action, register on primemediaplus.com and we could call to put you through our qualifier. So let's meet two people who did exactly that. They registered on primemediaplus.com. They went through the qualifier, and in the case of our first contestant, he's been playing already today. Isaac Manicus from Montana, on with Bongani Bingwa this morning, put up a score of 9 points. Strong performance. Isaac, very good afternoon to you, and the very best of luck in this round.
Good afternoon, John. Thank you very much.
And you are up against Isaac Grek, who is joining us on the line from Orchards, playing for the first time on Brain 2026. Isaac, good luck to you and welcome.
Thank you.
Right, let me give you both the rules. You have 60 seconds to answer 15 questions. The contestant who gets the most answers correct is the winner. If scores are equal, we will play sudden death. Remember, the spelling question that you get, you do need to spell the word, and I'm going to ask you to give me your answers nice and promptly. Rules pretty straightforward. Let's get the Brain of 702 on this Friday afternoon in February underway. Isaac, your time starts now.
3, 2, 1.
Spell the word mundane.
M-A-N-D-A-T-E.
Which word means a quick reply, retort or distort?
Report.
Correct. What color are the taxis or cabs in New York City?
Yellow and black.
Correct. Complete the saying. The chickens came home to what?
Roost.
Correct. What does the letter R stand for in the rating of a movie?
Pass.
Restricted. True or false? Rhinoceros horn consists of enamel.
False.
Correct. In technology, the abbreviation IoT stands for Internet of what?
Things.
Correct. The author of the Chronicles of Narnia is C.S. who?
Pass.
Lewis. In which coastal city is Ushaka Marine World?
KZN.
Which large Asian country is co-hosting the 2026 Men's T20 World Cup?
India.
Okay, I think you got India in just in time. If you said Sri Lanka, which is the co-host, you would have been fine. Okay, let's just sort this out with our judges. What scores have you got, guys? Just give me a show of hands. Okay, Isaac, you put up a score of 5, not what you managed this morning, but as they say in sports like cricket, we've got the runs. The other person still has to get them. And that other person, Isaac Grek, your time starts now.
3, 2, 1.
Spell the word mission.
M-I-S-S-I-O-N.
Correct. Which word means disturb? Placate or vex?
Vex.
Correct. What color are the public transport buses in London?
Red.
Correct. Complete the saying, she wears her heart on her what?
Sleeve.
Correct. What do the letters PG stand for in the rating of a movie?
Parental guidance.
Correct. True or false? An elephant has 20 teeth in its mouth.
True.
False. In technology, the abbreviation M2M stands for machine to what?
Man.
Machine. The author of the book The Hobbit is J.R.R. who?
Tolkien.
Correct. In which coastal city is the Two Oceans Aquarium?
Cape Town.
Correct. Which European country is hosting the 2026 Winter Olympic Games?
China.
Italy is the correct answer on that. Okay, let's see what the judges have to say. There we go. Okay, I'm having to look through light. Okay, so Isaac versus Isa. Congratulations, Isa, with a score of 7. You are our brain of the week. You've won 1,500 Rand thanks to 702 and 10,000 as our brain of the week. Isaac, you put up a great show throughout today. Bad luck and the best of luck to you. Isaac, you will play in the final and stand a chance to be crowned the brain of 702. So we're continuing through the month of February, and for a chance to prove your mental might and to win your share of 130,000 Rand, visit primemediaplus.com to register. You could become the brain of 702 and walk away with the ultimate general knowledge prize. It's 10 to 5.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
So one of our Friday regulars is what we call a song, a book, and a dish. That's going to be at about 20 to 6. Delighted to be hosting the captain of the Women Proteas team, Laura Wolfhard, who is a true cricketing superstar with a fabulous story to tell us. The other thing we do regularly is what we call Randall's One Song. Randall Abrams joins us to share with us a piece of music, his thoughts about the music, and something interesting about the person who made the music. And I chatted to him a little earlier. Well, it's that time of the week. We do it every Friday where we spend time exploring the world of music. We do it with just a single track, but we do it with somebody who's able to take that track, tell us why the music matters, who made the music, and what they may have gone on to do next. It's Randall's One Song, and we look forward to it all week. Let's do it now. Randall, a very good afternoon to you. We're doing something a little different today. We have, I believe, a 70-year-old Swedish trombone player. We have a symphony orchestra. What else? Tell us more. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, John. So the gentleman's name is Nils Landgren. He's been in music since the 70s. He initially started off studying classical music and then moved across to improvisation. As you said earlier, he's a trombonist and a singer. And I thought that was quite interesting immediately. I don't know that many trombonists who are firstly well known, other than I'm thinking J.J. Winding in the 60s, but certainly not those who also sing. And this is actually a brand new release. So yes, he is 70 years old, but very much producing music. And he's very into kind of 70s and 80s R&B. So this is, I don't want to call it a cover, and that's the other reason I'm interested by it. It's a reimagining of a song, and that's really what he does on this particular album. You know, he uses the orchestral colors, and he really doesn't stick directly to the original arrangements. Now, this song, One Day I'll Fly Away, is a very, very specific arrangement. And he's not sticking with that. He's moving away from that. And I thought that, you know, from the listener's point of view, what is a cover and what is a reimagining? When have you heard a song and said to yourself, geez, I've never heard that before, but you actually know the original really well? And that's why I chose One Day I'll Fly Away.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, on our music theme, in fact, that's exactly what we did yesterday. Covers that were substantially different from the original. So wonderful to take that theme and pull the thread along a little bit. This is Ida Sant, and he's with the Swedish Radio Symphony Orchestra. The song is called One Day I'll Fly Away.
When will I begin my life again? One day I'll fly away, leave your love to yesterday. What more can your love do for me? When will love be through with me? I follow the night, can't stand the light. When will I begin my life again? One day I'll fly away, leave your love to yesterday. What more can your love do for me? When will love be through with me?
Yeah, an interesting collaboration. Niels Lundgren, singer, and trombone player Edith Sant with the vocals there. And Vince Mendoza involved, and then a whole symphony orchestra, the Swedish Radio Symphony. I mean, Randall, just what drew you to Niels Lundgren in the first place?
Well, I think, John, I hadn't heard of him before, but you know, as I say, a trombonist and a singer. He
Yes.
doesn't have the biggest range in his pipes, but he certainly can get the message across. And I also think that the arrangements on this particular album, and I really think the listener should go and have a listen to the whole album, are really well chosen. So it's not a case, a lot of orchestral music, when you try and utilize an orchestra along with, let's say, a pop song, it usually becomes quite bombastic because everybody wants to hear the horns, as it were.
Yes.
Whereas this was kind of more in the vein of Claude Debussy and those sort of French impressionist composers.
Yes.
And they were really using the tone colors of the orchestra as opposed to the dynamics.
Yeah, it's very interesting stuff. And as I say, what I always enjoy about Randall's one song is sometimes it's a song I know well, but I don't know half the story behind the song. And sometimes it's an introduction to new music, as it was for me today. Randall's one song, we'll give it to you with Randall Abrams at the same time next Friday.
John Perlman
on 702.
3 to 6 p.m.
As I mentioned a moment ago, our other Friday regular feature is what we call a song, a book, and a dish. We take someone who's well-known, somebody you think you know a fair amount about. We ask them to pick a song that's important or special to them, either historically or currently in their lives. We get them to pick a book and tell us why, out of the many books they've read, they picked that particular one. And then we ask them about a dish. Now, dishes are very much on our minds at the moment because we're very excited about the premiere on Sunday of MasterChef Season 6. It's on ETV. It's on Sunday evening at 6 p.m. And it connects beautifully to the way in which we do the dish on a song, a book, and a dish because it's partly about the food, but it's also about meals shared and memories from meals shared around the family table or in a boarding school if that's where you happen to go. And it just so happens that episode 1 of MasterChef, and I'm not going to say too much about it, but is going to ask the contestants to do exactly what we asked them to do on a song, book, a dish. Draw back on memories of food in your childhood, in your home. Family comes into it, and they've got to create around by channeling some of those memories. And I'm not going to say more on that because I know you're going to be watching on Sunday at 6 p.m. on ETV. MasterChef Season 6 coming up. It's 5 o'clock on 702 Drive.
This is EWN.
A dedicated team investigating officers implicated at Madlanga Commission, and the ANC insists there is no need to panic in Ekurhuleni. Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. Acting Police Minister Feroz Kachalia has confirmed that a dedicated team is investigating officers implicated at the Madlanga Commission and the Parliamentary Ad Hoc Committee. Kachalia says those found to be on the wrong side of the law will face disciplinary action. He made the remarks while releasing the third quarter crime statistics in Pretoria today. 9 current and former Ekurhuleni Metro workers and 5 police officers implicated at the Madlanga Commission's interim report have been referred to the police for criminal investigation. Kachalia says tackling organised crime requires vetting and lifestyle audits in order to remove officials who collude with criminals.
The National Commission and I have agreed that the panels that will be set up to deal with those disciplinary cases will be presided over by an outside expert.
Mineral Resources Minister Gwede Mantashe has refused to speculate on the circumstances that led to the mudslide that left 5 miners trapped underground at the Ikapa mine in Kimberley. Technical teams are working to bring the workers who have been trapped since Tuesday back to the surface. Mantashe visited the plant today to meet with mine management and the senior team behind the rescue operation. He says the rescue efforts have been stalled by difficult underground conditions, including rising water levels.
But what is important is that the mining company is more focused now on rescuing those people. To us, that is a takeaway.
Mantashe says investigations to determine the cause are still underway.
After that investigation, we'll be able to say this is the cause. And the reason that I'm talking about CGS, that it must come here to determine where the source of water is and all that, is because that should be part of the investigation so that we don't speculate on the causes.
Suspended Deputy National Police Commissioner Shadrack Sibiya has been caught in the firing line at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. Sibiya is being accused of attempting to attack the integrity of the Political Killings Task Team, accusing them of being ineffective in their work. But the commissioners have lashed out at Sibiya, highlighting flaws in his argument. Oren Singh reports.
Shadrack Sibiya was grilled about his view of the Political Killings Task Team, accusing them of not being as successful as many are being led to believe. Sibiya claims certain cases investigated by the PKTT were not within their mandate, but was quickly rectified that the cases he was referring to were parallel matters that related to political killings, thus within the PKTT's scope of work. Evidence leader, Advocate Adila Hassim, accused Sibiya of being hell-bent on tarnishing the work of the PKTT.
What you're saying now is actually absolutely incorrect, and it's gratuitous because you are intent on attacking the work of this task team.
Sibiya dismissed claims he was on the offensive.
Being given an instruction by the National Commissioner to get involved and do 1, 2, 3, 4. At a later stage, then it got turned into like I'm attacking the PKTT.
Sibiya concluded his testimony and will resume on Monday. Oren Singh, Eyewitness News.
The ANC insists there is no crisis in the city of Ekurhuleni despite some recent political instability. The EFF recently pulled out of the governing coalition, leaving the ANC leading a minority government. Action SA also refused the ANC's offer to join that coalition. On the other hand, the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry continues to expose the deep rot of corruption within the city's highest governance structures. ANC Regional Secretary and Finance MMC Jongizizwe Dlabati.
We wish to assure the residents of Ekurhuleni that there is no crisis in the city of Ekurhuleni. There is no crisis in the leadership of the executive mayor and his team. And if there is anything, it is that of stabilizing the city and the city's administration. As we speak, the city is functioning.
And Venezuela's National Assembly has unanimously passed a new amnesty law that could lead to the release of hundreds of people jailed for political reasons dating back to 1999. The bill was quickly signed by acting President Delcy Rodriguez and is seen as part of a broader effort to ease political tensions. This follows the capture of former President Nicolas Maduro by U.S. Special Forces. The law will not apply to anyone prosecuted or convicted for promoting or participating in armed actions against the state, as well as serious crimes like murder, human rights violations, corruption, and drug trafficking. Gold is trading at $5,035.48 an ounce. The rand is at 16.10 to the dollar, 21.69 to the pound, 18.95 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $71.66 a barrel.
Driving through Eastland, Pretoria, heading towards Montana, traffic pressure N1 northbound from the Proefplaas interchange to the N4. Tembisa traffic remains heavily backed up on Olifantsfontein Road approaching the M57 due to a crime scene following a cash and transit heist. And in Germiston, Boksburg, roadworks slowing down traffic heading towards Brakpan, N17 eastbound between Osborne and Rondebolt.
In your sport, the Proteas women shift their focus to the ODI series against Pakistan. TS Galaxy out to upset a confident but fatigued Mamelodi Sundowns in the Nedbank Cup. And 50 up for Darian Landsberg as the Lions host the Sharks in the United Rugby Championship.
A partly cloudy Saturday in store for Gauteng tomorrow with isolated afternoon showers expected. Joburg drops to overnight lows of 15 degrees, peaking at 27. Pretoria 16 and 29 and Vereeniging 15 and 28 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour, Acting Police Minister Feroz Kachalia has confirmed that a dedicated team is investigating officers implicated at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app, DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
702 Drive, it's 7 minutes past 5. How's your Friday been? How's your weekend looking? Good, I hope, is the answer to both. At least one of them, I hope, is excellent. And I'm probably thinking of the weekend because that's ahead of us. Yeah, by Friday, I think many people are pretty much tired, having worked or looked for work or whatever it is, looked after children, looked after elderly family members. It's a lot. But you've made it this far. We'll make sure you get home smoothly and safely in a moment. Karabo Charlie has the traffic details, and wherever you are, we've got some great radio ahead for you between now and 6 o'clock. Coming up, we're going to revisit some crucial issues around the Gauteng water situation, prompted by the Department of Water and Sanitation approving an urgent water use license application from Rand Water. What is that about and what does it mean? Well, they want to be able to take additional water out of the integrated Vaal River system. More water? Isn't that all just going to leak away? We'll find out when we talk to Dr. Sean Phillips, Director General for the Department of Water and Sanitation. That's coming up shortly. And then in the second half of the show, a highlight of the 702 week, certainly for us here at 702 Drive, and indeed a highlight of the day. We call it a song, a book, and a dish. We're going to be spending time with Proteas women captain, top order batter, and one of the best women's cricket players in the world, Laura Wolfart, joining us on the line from Bloemfontein. You heard a moment ago there from Tolakele. They're just about to start an ODI series against Pakistan, beat them 2-1 in the T20s, now the 50-over game. and this is going to be competitive and a huge amount of fun to watch. We're going to have a lot of fun talking to Laura. That's at about 20 minutes to 6. Let's get you the latest traffic news right now.
EWN Traffic.
EWN Traffic is brought to you by OUTsurance. SMS the word OUT to 45142 now, and you could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Karabo Chali, as we head for the weekend, what's it like heading home?
Well, at this stage in the city of Tshwane, driving through Eastland, heading towards Montana, traffic pressure still on the N1 northbound from the Proof Plus interchange to the N4 Tembisa, traveling towards Irene. Traffic remains heavily backed up. This is on Olifantsfontein Road, approaching the M57. This is due to a crime scene following a cash-in-transit heist in Germiston. Boksburg, traveling towards Brakpan Roadworks, slowing down traffic on the N17 eastbound between Osborne and Randall, while in Bryanston heading towards Four Ways. Expect some delays. N1 southbound from the Butlu interchange to Winnie Mandela Drive. And if you're in the Joburg CBD heading towards Boysons, traffic remains sluggish. This is on the M1 southbound from Killarney Benz to the Crown interchange. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
This month is all about love, but your manager won't be feeling the love if you're late for that big presentation. Fortunately, the OUTsurance pointsmen are here to ease the traffic congestion so you can get to the office on time. With the OUTsurance pointsmen on the roads for the past 20 years, we can all get where we need to be quickly and safely. With OUTsurance, you really always get something out. In proud partnership with 702, show them some love online using #PointsmenLove, licensed insurer and FSP.
Driving the conversation on 702 Afternoon Drive with John Perlman. Powered by Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
Clement Maniatella.
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
A message on the WhatsApp line saying, Clement, based on that court ruling around Grace Mugabe, she is indeed stripped of her diplomatic immunity in South Africa and she faces an outstanding warrant of arrest, which makes it highly unlikely that she will ever return to South Africa. Sure, but I bet you, if history is anything to go by, she's probably been here 100 more times. And we don't know about it. We have allowed Omar al-Bashir to leave this country. We let Bashir leave this country. To this day, we don't know how he left. Are you kidding me? To this day, we don't know how that man left this country. What do you think is going to happen? I hope that there's going to be accountability. I hope they're not going to pin this on some security. If these boys are the ones that did it, they must be held accountable.
Clements Maniatella.
9 to 12 on 702.
Amidst global uncertainty, Africa offers opportunities. At the African Markets Conference 2026, decision makers from across Africa and the world will explore how policy reform, market development, and private capital can accelerate sustainable growth across the continent at scale. Learn more at standardbank.co.za/CIB. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Kick off to glory with Hollywood Bids and Aziz Shege. Be in the game. Go full speed ahead with the epic competition. You stand to win a share of 4 million Rand in cash and prizes, including an all-new Toyota Corolla Cross. Bet 10 Rand or more on any soccer fixture or fixtures online or at your nearest branch. Live life in the fast lane. Bet now for your chance to score. T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710.
For Mamotsatsi and Kensani of Design News, a beautiful room starts with a rock-solid connection. Tell us what was slowing down your growth.
It would have to be slow network coverage.
Now, Telkom Business Fiber lets the team process large renders while the landline keeps supplier calls coming in.
Get Core Light Fiber from 655 Rand per month and unlimited VoIP 1 from 99 Rand per month. Call 10213 or click telkom.co.za. T's and C's apply. Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
Drive Home with John Perlman
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
Before we get to that water story, just briefly, Kyle is responding, I suppose, to two stories today. What's going on at the Madlanga Commission and probably taking a long timeline on what's emerged there, but also responding, I assume, to today's crime stats. Here's Kyle, who says, I have a family member in SAPS, in the Forensics Crime Scene Investigation Specialized Unit. He regularly complains about the lack of resources and products for crime scene investigations like cash in transit, robberies, and murder scenes. This is very demotivating, Kyle concludes, for members at this specialized unit as they struggle for critical resources to perform their tasks professionally. Indeed, I've been asking a lot over the duration of the Madlanga Commission for feedback on how police officers and their family members are feeling based on what they're hearing. Not that it's necessarily new to them, but still. And thank you, Carl, for responding to that. 5:15.
John is on X.
At John Perlman.
So I thought a very interesting development this week in regard to the water crisis in Gauteng. The Department of Water and Sanitation has approved what is called an urgent water use license application from Rand Water. This means that they can take extra water, additional water from the integrated Vaal River system. They can do it for 4 months from February to June. Just perspective on the numbers, they can take an extra 200 million cubic meters. So what might extra water mean as the region struggles on the one hand, ordinary people and people running businesses to get the water they need, and the authorities battle their own fight, which is to actually deliver the water safely, effectively, sustainably, and with a minimum of waste. Let's welcome to the show once again Dr. Sean Phillips, who is DG in the Department of Water and Sanitation. Dr. Phillips, welcome and thanks very much for your time. What will be gained? What would be the benefit of Rand Water being able to take more water out of the rivers? Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, John, and good afternoon to your listeners. The purpose of this is to assist the municipalities to stabilize the water levels in their reservoirs.
Mm-hmm.
So for the next few months, Rand Water is going to be pumping more water to the municipalities to put into their reservoirs, because the reason why the situation has gone on so long is because it's taken much longer than expected for the municipal reservoir levels to recover after there was a couple of breakdowns which resulted in, for a few days, Rand Water pumping less water than normal to the municipalities.
So this will be for 4 months. What then?
So, John, let me just explain how the integrated Vaal River system and water supply to Gauteng works.
Okay.
The integrated Vaal River system consists of 14 interlinked dams, including some very large dams in Lesotho and in the Drakensberg. And that, in essence, makes up the water storage for Gauteng. Rand Water draws water from the Vaal Dam, but during periods of drought, the dam levels can drop very quickly. For example, last year, the level of water in the Vaal Dam dropped from 100% full to 10% full in a matter of 3 months. So we manage the integrated Vaal River system as a system, and when there's drought conditions and the water levels fall in the Vaal Dam, then we draw down on water from the other dams which form part of the system. And we do long-term hydrological analyses to calculate how much water per annum can be drawn from the Vaal Dam by Rand Water so that a constant sustainable amount can be drawn and supplied to the municipalities. You can imagine, John, if we said to Rand Water, now in January you can double your abstraction from the Rand Water system, and then when there's a drought in 3 months' time you must halve it. That would cause chaos because people make investments. For example, municipalities approve new developments, so they need to know how much water can they constantly receive. So Rand Water has already been abstracting very close to the amount that our hydrological analyses show is the sustainable amount that they can withdraw. They asked us to check when this problem in the municipalities of the reservoirs not stabilizing went on for a long time. They asked us to check, is there any chance of even just drawing a bit more, just for a few months from the integrated Vaal River system, just so we can pump a bit more to the municipalities so that they can stabilize their reservoirs. So we went back to the hydrological calculations and assessments, and we assessed that if we pump a bit more just for 4 months, then it won't increase the risk too much of being able to continuously supply that amount, even if there's droughts. And for that reason, we approved Rand Water's application.
Yeah, and that puts it all in perspective. And thank you. I mean, when I thought of the Vaal River water system, I thought of the Vaal River and perhaps other rivers that flow into it. But the perspective on the dams is interesting and important. I mean, just as it so happens, while we're talking, Dr. Phillips, Mohammed says water is gone again for the second day in Joburg South due to a burst valve. Now, I scarcely need to tell you that part of the problem is the volume of water available. The much bigger, arguably, problem is the failure to maintain the infrastructure required, A, to look after that water when it's in a reservoir, but secondly, move it with minimal loss to places where people need to open their taps. Are you not a little bit concerned that with interventions like this, some of the holding of the relevant people's feet to the fire might feel, I've got an extra pair of heat-proof boots on and maybe I don't need to get as urgent as I was?
That's a very good question, John, and that is the dilemma that we faced. And we agree with you that there is that risk. But on the other hand, you have to consider the fact that the residents of Johannesburg and other towns, cities in Gauteng are suffering because it's taken so long for the reservoirs to stabilize. So we had to balance that because you're right. The municipalities should be put under pressure to improve their maintenance, to improve their storage capacity. In Johannesburg, for example, there aren't sufficient reservoirs. Reservoirs are a key part of a municipal water distribution system. So if something happens, like you mentioned just now, there's some kind of mechanical breakdown or electrical breakdown, which will happen now again, we should expect that, but then the municipality should have enough water stored in its reservoirs to be able to keep supplying water while they quickly fix that valve that's broken. But they haven't invested sufficiently in the reservoirs,
right?
And that's why we have long water outages when something happens, like a valve stops working. And also we have the very high level of leaks in the distribution system because they haven't properly maintained the infrastructure and done proper life cycle infrastructure asset management for decades. So you're right. There is a downside to giving them more water because a third of that water is lost through leaks in the distribution system. And we wouldn't need to allow them to take more water from the integrated Vaal River system. If they fix the leaks, then they wouldn't need additional water because they would be leaking less water.
I'm going on your figure of a third because I was coincidentally, Dr. Phillips, about to ask you that. But of the 200 million extra cubic meters of extra water, 66.66 million of cubic meters of that water is going to go to waste.
Yes.
That's
correct.
It is,
and it's very expensive, John. You can imagine we're spending many billions of rands building dams right up high in the mountains in Lesotho, and you can imagine how expensive that is to bring additional water to Gauteng. And the people who pay for this water that's lost through leaks is not the national government. It's the residents of Johannesburg and the other cities in Gauteng, because the water has to be paid for. We have to pay royalties to Lesotho for the water. We have to pay for the pumping, etc., and for the construction. We have to pay back the loans that were taken out to build the dams. So it has to be built into the tariffs. So the residents of Johannesburg are paying higher tariffs because they have to pay for the water that's lost through leaks too.
I suppose just a last question on the broad theme where you were a moment ago, Dr. Phillips, about aging infrastructure. You know, as somebody whose own infrastructure is aging, as all of ours is, I mean, all infrastructure ages by. This is not a new law of physics. It's the march of time. I mean, presumably in your travels and in conversations with colleagues at conferences, is there a best practice model of how you budget for and prepare for the natural aging of, let's just stay with what we're talking about, water pipes? I mean, we can't be the first city in the world and country in the world to walk this road.
No, John, and of course infrastructure ages everywhere. It doesn't only age in South Africa.
Yes.
But infrastructure doesn't fall apart everywhere like it's falling apart in South Africa, and it doesn't leak everywhere like it's leaking here. The answer to your question is that yes, it's part of the field of civil engineering. There's a whole aspect of civil engineering which is called life cycle asset management, and civil engineers study life cycle asset management, which is where you manage your assets and you plan to do routine maintenance which extends the life of the asset, and preventative maintenance. You plan rehabilitation at certain times, so that over time you make sure that your whole asset base remains in a decent condition. Sometimes parts of it will become so old that you'll have to replace it, but at other times you can just do preventative maintenance and rehabilitation, which will extend the life of the asset. And that's how people do it in other countries where their infrastructure also ages, but they manage to maintain the infrastructure in a state so that it keeps delivering the service.
Life cycle asset management. I think I've got that right. Not rocket science, just science and planning. Thank you so much, Dr. Sean Phillips, DG in the Department of Water and Sanitation. Learned quite a lot in that interview about the integrated Vaal River system, which I must admit I had a very narrow and local view of it as a river with a few tributaries, much more complex than that. 702 Drive, it's 26 minutes past 5. We thank Dr. Phillips for his time and say it's time for business.
EWN Business.
Stephen Curtis looking good last time we chatted. I assume nothing terrible can happen in half an hour unless it did.
Oh, that's very kind of you, John. Good afternoon. The JSE All Share up 0.97% at 123,022. So, yeah, things looking very good indeed. The financials down 0.2%, industrials up 0.07%, but then resources are getting a lot of momentum towards the end of the session, up 2.94%. So, gold is below $5,000 again, but platinum's looking a lot better. And then all of the results that we've been getting, Anglo Gold Ashanti, for example, coming through quite late in the day. So, all of those having a bit of an impact. So Alpha Minerals, Alpha Min, they're up 9.31. DRD Gold are up 9.2. Anglo Gold are up 4.64. Like all of the gold miners, John, just making huge profits, really, the announcements today. Sibanye Stillwater, for example, seeing their profit jumping 280% into the year to the end of December, paying out their first dividend in 2 years, despite a drop in gold and platinum production over the period. Anglo American, though, still battling with that crisis in the diamond industry. So they're under pressure from manufactured diamonds. They've taken an impairment of $2.3 billion on De Beers. I mean, let's just be clear, it doesn't look like the natural diamond industry is going to come back. They did report a 2% increase in underlying operations, mainly from copper and iron ore. Then the platinum miners, Northam Implats, both up by over 4%. Valterra up nearly 4%. And Pan-African Resources, after their strong update earlier in the week, they're up 3.7%. I should just mention as well that Dis-Chem are up nearly 4% on the day, John. They reported their group revenue up 10% from the beginning of September to the middle of February. Like-for-like retail revenue up by 5.7%. They say they're growing market share. None of that is the story of the day, though. The story of the day is SPAR, down 7.33%, and the reason for that, which is the announcement this morning that their CEO, Angelo Swartz, has resigned. He's being replaced by the current Chief Financial Officer, Reza Isaacs. The board saying the group's strategic direction, there we go, will not change. But I think it just reminds everybody of the very deep-seated problems there are at SPAR. It's not just, an IT problem with the implementation of SAP. It's not just the European operations which they've had to sell and take a loss on. It's also the underlying structure of it, different people owning different stores. And that suddenly seems to be counting against them doing this transition to a delivery model. Obviously, there's a lot more to it. It's been around for a very long time. So we'll have to see how it all plays out, but that's the issue at the moment. Mondi down 2% after their update, and clicks going down 1.8%. I don't know if that's related to Dis-Chem's results, but it might well be. When Dis-Chem says they are growing market share, they provide numbers that seem to prove that. Well, it would kind of make sense as to where that market's coming from. And then Growth Point is down 1.54% on the day. In the US, disappointing GDP figures having quite a big impact on their market at the open. That was because people were expecting that GDP would have gone up by around 0.3, would have gone up at around 3% on an annualized basis in the 3 months from October to December. Instead, it went up at 1.4%, and the market was down on the open, but they seem to have recovered now. The Dow Jones is up 0.12, the Nasdaq is up 0.33, the S&P 500 is up 0.23. The gold price at the moment is $4,993.57. Platinum is higher, $2,110.74, and then Brent crude, just watching the build-up of U.S. forces around Iran, at $71.49. The rand to the dollar, 16.05, to the euro, 18.93, to the British pound, 21.67. On the Money Show tonight, we get a deeper understanding of the change in the JSE's rules that led to Patrice Motsepe stepping down as executive chair at African Rainbow Minerals. Look at the outlook for fuel prices and the budget. Suggestions that the fuel levy will go up again. And John, I've never actually been on one of those ocean cruises. I don't know if you have.
Nope.
No. Okay. Well, from around 6:40 or so, we will be speaking about doing that for a holiday. What are the pluses? What are the minuses? I can think of one big plus already, which is that you can say goodbye to the children and see them at the end, and they'll, have their own cruise if you like. I do wonder though. I mean, you're going to be cooped up. You're bound to, if it's a big one, bump into someone you don't know. I mean, you don't like, and that I suppose could be exciting. But yeah, all of that to come on the Money Show. Don't forget the Friday Biz Blitz as well. Stephen Grootes, EWN Business.
Cruising with Grootes. I can see the TV series already coming to a channel soon near you. Coming to you right now, Mbali Dlamini with the latest news.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. The ANC in Ekurhuleni says the door is still open for Action SA to join its governing coalition in the metro. This is despite Herman Mashaba's party having recently rejected the offer. The ANC currently leads a minority government in Ekurhuleni following the EFF's decision to pull out of that coalition. A minority government makes it difficult for the ANC to pass through its legislative agenda in council, and also it is susceptible to be removed through a motion of no confidence. Thabiso Koba reports.
On Tuesday night, Ekurhuleni Mayor Dr. Xhakaza reshuffled his cabinet, adding Action SA's Councillor Xolani Khumalo as the new MMC for bylaw enforcement. However, Action SA quickly made an announcement that its councillor would not be joining what it calls a corrupt and failing government. At a media briefing today, ANC's Regional Secretary Jongizizwe Hlabati claims Action SA was threatened by the EFF to reject the offer at the last minute. Hlabati says the EFF threatened to remove Action SA's Nasiphi Moya as the mayor of Tshwane.
There is no one who will remove the executive mayor of Tshwane without the African National Congress. Mr. Mashaba got easily scared and succumbed to the threat.
Hlabati says a deal can still be made with Action SA.
We view Action SA as a party that can still play a role in cementing the stability, and we wish to say that our doors continues to be open.
Leaders of both Action SA and EFF have rejected the claims by the ANC. Thabiso Koba, Eyewitness News.
Parliament has reported ministers who did not answer all written questions by the end of 2025. The ministers have been reported to the leader of government business, Deputy President Paul Mashatile. The biggest culprit has been Public Works Minister Dean McPherson, Communications Minister Soli Malatsi, as well as Planning Minister Marupini Ramokgopa have also fallen foul of Parliament's rules and have now caused the questions posed to them to lapse. Lindsay Dentlinger has more.
Written questions to the executive are a key accountability mechanism for MPs, particularly the opposition, to obtain information from ministers on burning issues. But Public Works Minister Dean McPherson has failed to answer 26 questions posed to him last year. While McPherson did not respond to EWN's request for comment, his cabinet and party colleague, Communications Minister Soli Malatsi, is accepting blame for the 15 unanswered questions directed to his portfolio.
As someone who spent years on the opposition benches, pushing for executive accountability to have questions labs, and the number of such questions lapsing is totally indefensible.
Malatsi says he's issued his parliamentary liaison officer with a formal warning for failing to meet the deadlines. Other ministers who also failed to meet last year's question deadline include Higher Education Minister Buti Manamela, Minister in the Presidency Kumbutso Ntshavheni, and Sport, Arts and Culture Minister Gayton McKenzie. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
And a Cape Town cop killer faces a lengthy spell in jail after being handed 4 life sentences in the Western Cape High Court. 27-year-old Craig Amon will effectively serve a life term after being convicted on 4 murders, including a police constable in Delft. In 2017, Amon shot and killed 3 men during an attempted robbery. In a separate incident in 2020, also in Delft, Amon stabbed and critically injured an off-duty constable. He was also convicted of the murder of a police constable in the same area on the 19th of March in 2021. Hawks spokesperson Zinzi Hani says Hawks head Matipa Mahato has welcomed the sentence and commended investigators as well as the prosecution team.
He further cautioned those who attack police officials to say that the attack of the police is an attack to the state, and we will leave no stones unturned to bring the perpetrators to book.
A partly cloudy Saturday in store for Gauteng tomorrow, with isolated afternoon showers expected. Lows of between 15 and 16 degrees and highs of between 27 and 29.
Tembisa traffic remains heavily backed up on Olifantsfontein Road approaching the M57 due to a crime scene. This is following a cash and transit heist. Devland, also slow-moving traffic. That's heading towards Eldorado Park on the Golden Highway between the N1 and East Street. Protea Glen, slow-moving traffic on the N12 westbound between the R554 Abu Bakr Drive and the R558.
The top story in EWN, the ANC in Ekurhuleni says the door is still open for Action SA to join its governing coalition in the metro.
702 Afternoons
with Relebohile Maboja, 1 to 3 p.m.
I'm so excited to just chat to you around your musical theatre world and how you got into that.
I got the opportunity to do a little bit of drama in Cape Town and I just got hooked. It's just the most fulfilling thing to really get into the character, perform your heart out and see the kids react exactly the way they're meant to be, quote unquote, reacting to your character. And it's brilliant. I remember one day I got really offended by getting booed at the end. I bowed.
You got booed?
And all the kids booed at me. And I got so offended. And at the end of the show, I spoke to my coworkers and they said to me, oh no, that's a good thing. You did exactly what you were meant to do today. And so every day it was about getting the biggest boo I could possibly get by the end of the show.
702 Afternoons
with Relebohile Maboja.
Let's walk the talk.
Stop and think. Will you survive the AI revolution or will you thrive? Regenesis students are thriving. 11 cutting-edge schools, 111 countries. World-class team of 1,111 with one mission, awakening your potential. Choose from law, business, technology, AI, health, economics, entrepreneurship, public management, skills academy, and digital Regenesis. Undergraduate, postgraduate, upskilling, customized corporate programs. The question isn't can you afford to enroll, it's can you afford not to? Enroll now. Regenesis.net. Achieve your dreams.
The safety and well-being of learners is a shared social responsibility. Parents and guardians play a critical role in ensuring safe, reliable, and lawful scholar transport. Parents are therefore urged to take responsibility for the following. Parents should ensure that learners are on time and ready for collection to prevent unsafe driving practices such as rushing, unscheduled stops, or overloading. By working together, parents, operators, and authorities can protect learners and build a culture of safety on our roads. Issued by the National Department of Transport.
Naked people never skip leg day. Because naked people spend less time on insurance admin, they've got more time for lunges and Romanian deadlifts. With Naked, you can cover your car, home, and stuff in seconds. And it's all online, so that means no long phone calls. Go to naked.insure now, get a car insurance quote in 90 seconds, and start working out, like naked people. Naked Financial Technology is an authorized FSP. Get naked.
Stay with 702 Afternoon Drive with John Perlman. Brought to you by Telkom Business. Possible begins here. 702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Greetings, 702 lenders. I'm in the south of Johannesburg in an area called Crown Gardens, Ridgeway Crown Gardens, basically. You know, as soon as they said the MMC was coming to observe what is happening, suddenly the water started flowing. The deputy president, I think he was here about 2 days back to come and check the crisis of the water. It was flowing. Now that they are gone, we're back to square one. They've just closed the water again. The taps are running dry again. I'm not sure what is happening. There is no explanation. Everything is just quiet.
Phew, where does one start? We'll pick up on that hopefully later in the day here on 702 or pick it up tomorrow. But that thing of switching things on and fixing them and spritzing them up because a senior politician is coming and then leaving them back to the way they were. No words. Cynical, I think. 20 minutes to 6.
EWN Sport.
Tolakele T20 World Cup Cricket Proteas women in action. We'll be chatting, by the way, to Laura Wolfart on a song, a book and a dish. But all these sports stories, please, what have you got?
Well, John, we start at the men's T20 World Cup. That's where Australia need 105 runs to win their final game of the tournament against Oman. After the Arab country were all out for 104, as Wasim Ali top scored with 32, while Adam Zampa took 4 for 21. In response, the Baggy Greens are currently 73 without any loss after 6 overs. They need 32 runs and 84 balls for victory. Batting is Head on 20 alongside Marsh on 53. For the Proteas women, they'll turn their attention to the 3-match ODI series against Pakistan that gets underway on Sunday. The games form part of the Women's Championship, which will see each team play a total of 8 3-match series to determine who qualifies for the 2029 World Cup. Mandla Mashimbi says his team selection reflects their long-term planning.
The emphasis is to win. The points will look after themselves as long as we play to win, and we'll make sure that we're switched on every game that we play and nice and focused in every game that we play. We should qualify automatically. And it's just for me to make them understand that we cannot take any game for granted. It plays a big role for 2029. We're starting a project 2029 as well now with the girls. And that's why we're including a lot of youngsters, because most of them will probably be the ones that are actually playing in that World Cup.
Over to the Nedbank Cup, where Orlando Pirates will be looking for an immediate response following their midweek Betway Premiership defeat to Mamelodi Sundowns. They take on Keswick Stars in the last 16 tomorrow, and Adeslamo Adu is hoping the Buccaneers can correct issues related to their scoring, having lamented their lack of ruthlessness in front of goal.
It's an area of concern for me. It's an area that we must be efficient, because it's the reality of football. When we want to be more ambitious, you need to be clinical. Of course, we keep working and we don't stop working with the guys, but you have to understand as well that we have a young team, young strikers, and I just mentioned it before. It's important when you develop the players, they have a potential, but you need to be patient with them.
Mikel Arteta has called for cool heads from his Arsenal players as they look to keep alive their Premier League title hopes, having dropped points in back-to-back games. They face Tottenham Hotspur in a North London derby on Sunday, hoping to maintain their 5-point lead over second-place Manchester City.
Keeping calm, keeping my eyes open, my ears open, and understanding what the players need to give their best. That's it. And what the things that we have to tweak every day, every game, to keep doing what we are doing, which is winning a lot of games and being in the position that we want to be.
And UK athletics have pleaded guilty to corporate manslaughter over the death of para-athlete Abdullah Hayeyi, who was killed in 2017 while training in London. He was preparing for the World Para-Athletics Championships at the Newham Leisure Centre when a metal throwing cage fell on him and he was pronounced dead at the scene. UK athletics had initially pleaded not guilty but changed their position this morning, with their head of sport also pleading guilty to an offence under the Health and Safety at Work Act. Tolakele Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now, and you could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Delays out in Tembisa. In general, the traffic getting a lot busier. Here's Karabo Charlie.
Yeah, that's due to a cash in transit high. So there's a crime scene as you approach the intersection of Olifantsfontein Road and the M57. That's in the Tembisa area. So avoid that route at all costs. Traffic is at a standstill at this stage. In Devland, there's also slow-moving traffic. That's driving into Eldorado Park on the Golden Highway between the N1 and East Street. Also in Protea Glen, slow-moving traffic. This is on the N12 westbound between the R554 Abu Bakr Drive and the R558. Germiston, Boksburg, traveling towards the Brakpan Roadworks, slowing down traffic. N17 eastbound between Osborne and Rondebolt in the Joburg CBD, slow-moving traffic. M1 south from Killarney Benz to the Crown Interchange, driving through Eastland. Pretoria heading towards Montana. There's traffic pressure on the N1 northbound from the Proefplaas Interchange all the way to the N4. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
The Outsurance pointsmen know that every car on the road carries a story. Like a man wearing his finest suit on his way to an interview. He's prepped 100 times, but he still has butterflies. The Outsurance pointsmen know it's not just a car in traffic. It's a potential lucky break that could change someone's life. Every story's different, and every story matters. That's why the Outsurance pointsmen have been doing what they do since 2005, in proud partnership with 702. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Still to come on 702 Drive, a song, a book, and a dish will be in the company of Proteas cricket captain and global superstar Laura Wolfhard. Stay with us for that.
Mzansi, Powerball and Powerball Plus are bringing the excitement with 75 million rand in total guaranteed jackpots this Friday. Don't delay. Play Powerball for a guaranteed 50 million rand and Powerball Plus for the guaranteed 25 million rand today. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app or cell phone banking. Panda, Pusha, Play. Players must be 18 years old and play responsibly. E2 is a proud operator of the National Lottery.
The piping hot brand new season of MasterChef South Africa is about to sizzle onto our screens. This Sunday, 20 dynamic home cooks from different backgrounds step into the pressure cooker MasterChef kitchen with a shared mission to chase their culinary dream. But in the end, only one can win the coveted title of MasterChef. Expect big flavors, bold risks, high drama, and some crumbling hearts when these home cooks serve up their very first plate of the season. MasterChef South Africa Season 6 starts this Sunday at 6 p.m. only on ETV.
Psst. Hey, no longer feeling like the man you used to be?
The man who has inside jokes with complete strangers.
The fact is, 95% of men with low testosterone go untreated.
Vitamin High Performance Supplements for men helps recharge energy, regain lean muscle, and reload performance. Available at all good pharmacies and Vitalamin.co.za.
Vitalamin. Don't get older. Get better.
702 Drive with John Perlman was proudly brought to you by Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
A song, a book, and a dish.
On 702.
Time now to get to know somebody you know pretty well, you think, but, well, you don't know everything about them. Well, of course, one never does. But somehow, if you ask them to pick a song, choose a book that's special to them, and tell us stories about food, you get to learn perhaps some slightly different and interesting things. My guest is a global cricketing superstar. She's performed with distinction and excellence over many, many years. Since the age, I think, of about 17, she's been a leading figure in the Proteas women's team. She's now the captain, top order batsman, and an inspiration to so many young cricketers following behind her. Laura Wolfhard, welcome. It's great to have you with us on the show, and thanks so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
So you're growing up in Cape Town. As I understand it, somewhere around the age of 9, you think, cricket, I might enjoy that. Do you remember the moment, and do you remember perhaps what drew you to the game?
Not really. I was just in primary school, and I was friends with a lot of boys in school, and they all just played cricket at break time. So it's just something I sort of joined along with. And yeah, just fell in love with the game and became pretty much obsessed with it, and yeah, still play it every single day. So.
Did you realize at some point that you could be very good at it? I mean, there must have been a coach who may have said to you, perhaps mentioned it to your parent, stick with this and there might be something special here.
Also not really. It was really purely just for fun throughout my childhood. It was only really in matric when it started becoming a bit more serious, when I had to sort of make decisions about what I wanted to study and what I wanted to do one day. Yeah, it was more just that I loved it too much to stop. And yeah, I made my debut pretty young for the Proteas. But yeah, it was never really like a guarantee, I guess. It's just something I really loved doing.
After you scored that remarkable innings in the semi-final against England in the last World Cup, we spoke to your coach, Thanison Pillay. And he said he was just saying to us, you appear to find time to do a remarkable number of things. You were head girl at your school. You got 7 distinctions. We'll talk about your love of music and the fact that you like to make music yourself in a little bit later. But did you ever in your life just do nothing?
No, I guess not. But it's funny. I think the more you do, sort of the more time you find to do things.
Yes.
When I think back now to high school, I have no idea how I did all of that. Now I just play cricket and it feels like a lot of work. But yeah, I think when you're busy, you sort of just get stuff done. But yeah, I just like doing a lot of things. I've always been really into my hobbies. So yeah, and the school I went to, Parklands, just had a lot to offer, sort of extramurals wise. So yeah, just tried a lot of things. But I think cricket was always the main love growing up.
Take us to dinner at the Wolfarts, maybe early teens. Let's put a time on it. Your dad, Derek, is a nuclear engineer. Your mom was a translator. That must have been very interesting work for her. One younger brother. First of all, what are you eating? But secondly, what are you talking about?
Pretty healthy food, I guess. Dad's very Afrikaans, so he loves a braai. And my mom's actually from Belgium, so she likes a bit of different food, I guess. And we're probably just talking about school, nothing too fancy. We generally, had dinner every night around the table and just chatted about our days. And my brother's quite a bit younger than me, 6 years, so he'd always get up to mischief at school, and I was the well-behaved one. So, yeah, just talk about his activities that he'd done that day.
So was that you at school? I mean, you describe yourself as the well-behaved one. I mean, obviously, I wouldn't have imagined you were particularly quiet, but have you always been a kind of heads-down person?
Yeah, pretty quiet, pretty reserved. I hate getting into trouble, just do my homework, bit of a nerd, teacher's pet vibe.
So on the cricket field, do you ever do any sledging, or do you leave that to someone else?
No. I leave that to someone else, definitely. I don't say too much.
Do you look at them disapprovingly? Is there a lot of sledging in women's cricket?
Not really, not that much.
Okay.
And more just a chirp here or there, but yeah, nothing like the men, I don't think.
So, favorite food, sushi.
Sushi, definitely.
I mean, did the Wolfarts go out for sushi, or is that something that you have acquired as a taste with your own time and your own money?
No, we would go out for it. I think it's a family favorite.
Okay.
Yeah, every birthday, whenever it was someone's birthday, we'd probably go out for sushi somewhere. Yeah, it's definitely our favorite.
Laura, I understand, again, from talking to Thanison, that you had an interest in being a doctor, and your book is an interesting choice in that regard. It's called, by some people may know it, it's actually on my wife's bookshelf because she has a real interest in this stuff. When Breath Becomes Air, the author, it was published posthumously. The author is, was a U.S. neurosurgeon, Paul Kalaniti. A book about mortality, his battle with lung cancer, and so on. Does that reflect your general reading taste, or your taste quite broad?
Quite broad. Generally fiction, though. Sort of just read to unwind and relax a bit. But yeah, that's probably one of the better books that I've read. And pretty cool because I I had a bit of an interest of studying medicine after school, and I was at med school for about 3 weeks before it became too much to do with cricket at Stellenbosch, so then I stopped. But yeah, I just found it a really interesting read, and yeah, really beautiful, and definitely would recommend.
You travel a lot, and cricket has pauses, probably much more so in a 5-day game, which the national women's team don't play that often. Do you ever find yourself reading at the ground, or is this something for the hotel room and maybe the bus?
Yeah, more hotel room and travel. Too many loud people at the ground to read.
Yeah.
There's always some kind of game or chat to be had when we're there. But yeah, definitely spend a lot of time in hotel rooms and traveling. So I guess I have plenty of time to read, which is cool.
In terms of school life in general, I want to go back to that period in your life. I mean, very, very busy. I mean, was there anything about school you didn't like?
Not really. I really loved school. I know not a lot of people say that, but I really enjoyed my time. I was very sad when it was our valedictory and we had to leave. I really enjoyed it.
And in terms of the kind of dynamics of you, because as I understand it, you played women's cricket at a provincial level, but for much of your school life, you were playing against boys. I mean, was that even a thing, or was it something you barely noticed? I don't know if your adversaries, your opponents, noticed it at all when you were playing.
Yeah, the boys definitely noticed that I was the only girl there. But for me, it was pretty chilled. I just loved cricket and wanted to play, and I had no idea women's cricket existed when I was growing up. I didn't know we had a national team. It was only when I was about 11 or 12 they sent me to girls' trials, because I'd just been going to boys' province trials. And then they told me, you're at the wrong place. We actually have a girls' set up for you. So that was the first time I discovered other girls that also play cricket, and that there's a couple of women's provincial teams and a national team. And obviously the growth in the game in the last 10 years has been incredible. But yeah, I had no idea growing up.
Tell us a little bit about you and music. I went online, found you singing with I think a colleague from the Indian team, who would have been one of your opponents in the final. But do you get to make music while you're traveling and on the road?
Yeah, in high school as well, I recorded a few songs. Our school had a music studio. So yeah, that was just one of my songs that we were jamming to. I'm probably not into it as much anymore. It was more of a high school music phase. But yeah, it's very cool that I was able to record those songs while I was there. And yeah, I don't travel with my guitar, but when I'm home, I still jam a little bit, I guess.
Music when you're on the way to the ground, I don't know if there's a collective playlist and somebody gets to choose it. Do you have your own playlist before a big game? And if so, what's on it?
My own playlist, pretty chilled music, nothing too upbeat. People always probably roast me that my playlists are a bit sad. And just a bit of mainstream pop, like, Taylor Swift, Olivia Dean, Billie Eilish, that sort of thing.
So when they're choosing something in the dressing room, you may be the captain, but you're definitely not going to be the DJ by general team consent.
Yes.
Well, so Laura, thank you so much, first of all, for all the huge pleasure you've given cricket fans over the years. I'm certain there's much more to come. Thank you for sharing with us your song, your book and your dish. And you mentioned Olivia Dean. You've picked one of her songs, very recent, Man I Need, it's called. She won Best New Artist at the Grammys this year, as I'm sure many of you know. But thanks so much for giving us your time on 702.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Here's Olivia Dean.
Best friend, I can come I can leave it alone. You're on my mind. Already gave you the time and the place, so don't be shy. Just come be the man I need. Tell me you got something to give. I want it. I kinda like it when you call me wonderful. Whatever the type of talk it is, come on then. I gotta know you're meant to be the man I need. Talk to me, talk to me, talk to me, talk to me. Be the man that I need, baby. Talk to me, be the man that I need, need. Talk to me, be the man that I need, baby. Talk to me, be the man. I'd like to think you feel the same way, but I can't tell with you sometimes. So baby, let's get on the same page. Stop making me read between the lines. Already know I can leave it alone. You're on my mind.
Olivia Dean, Man I Need, Grammy Award winner. The choice of song in our songbook dish guest of Proteas cricket captain and star batsman Laura Wolfhard. That brings to an end 702 Drive, not just for today, but for the week. Thanks for being with us. We've really enjoyed it. I'm John Perlman, putting the show together. Jonathan Fairburn and Rifue Litsua, our technical producer, has been through the week. Karabo Malapile. Have a great weekend. Good night.
Talk to me, be the man that I need, baby. Talk to me, be the man that I need, need. Talk to me, be the man that I need, baby. Talk to me.
And now, The Money Show
with Stephen Grootes, live on 92.7 and